Living in two worlds. The fact that we have a very unique experience as Desi people living outside of India, because of the Desi culture and then how prominent it is in our lives, we continue to live in two worlds. A lot of people who come from other countries, after a while, they kind of, you look at Italian Americans or you look at Polish Americans or even maybe Mexican Americans are similar to us, but most other cultures, they kind of go away from their culture and the prominent culture becomes American culture. With Indian culture, because also of our food and our clothing, it continues to take over our world, has a big portion of our lives, even after 40, 50 years of living here.
Well, think about it. I mean, there's something really amazing. And I think somebody from Africa, there was a leader from Africa who was saying this. I saw like a social media clip. And he was saying, look at Indian culture, or Desi culture, I should say, not Indian culture, but Desi cultures, that, they were colonized for hundreds of years. But yet you go there and they still have their language, they still have their clothing, they still have their food, they've kept their culture. And that's something that the world can learn from, is how do you keep your culture and at the same time, move with the world. And so I was reading and I'm thinking, I know assimilation is not the word that applies to us. We can't just melt into the pot. We just don't. Integration, you integrate, okay, maybe somewhat. But I think today, I was thinking, and for this episode especially, that our word is reshaping. We tend to shape ourselves the way we need to shape ourselves. I don't think that's integration. I don't think that's assimilation. That's just what are the influences around us and how do we need to navigate that without really giving up of who we are. And I think that reshaping of what we do is present in the way we might dress, what we may eat, how we speak, and how we navigate the world.
So we're shapeshifters.
I don't know if we're shapeshifters. We're not necessarily shapeshifters. I mean, shapeshifter would mean I can't come back to my original shape. I think we reshape situationally. We are very much like, this situation is asking us to talk, more in English, or this situation is asking us to really be Desi. Like, we can be both.
I think where I see that, along the lines of what both of you mentioned, that the Desi culture really tends to stay intact and survive any sort of other influences out there, is when you meet people from like countries like Guyana or Trinidad, a lot of them have lived in those countries without direct connection to India, like going back and visiting India over time. So no influence such as that. But just living there.
You mean the Desi communities living in African continent?
No, I'm talking about like the Caribbean.
The Caribbean.
So where's Trinidad?
Like
Would that, is that
Fiji.
considered Caribbean?
Yeah.
Okay. West Indies. Sorry,
Yeah,
West Indies.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if we're talking about people living in the West Indies, a lot of them were brought by ship from the British from India to there, and they could not go back. So, but their culture stayed intact. And what's fascinating is when you talk to them, some of the things that they'll say, let's say even their names, for instance, those names are from like the 1900s, like the early 1900s. And you're like, wow, like the kids of today have names from someone that if they were living in India, that would be considered, that's my great grandmother's name,
Like 100, 150
yeah, but they
years.
kept that, what they had, they kept it intact.
They preserved it.
And it's so impressive and it's so fascinating to see that. So yeah, there is something about that Desi culture which tends to survive any sort of influence. And I'm not saying influence is bad, but they pick and choose what they want to take and what they want to maintain. And there's usually a pretty interesting balance that people find.
Which is probably shows that it's so ingrained in us, the way of life, because let's say if you go to a gurdwara or mandir or masjid, but since I go to gurdwara, I'm going to use that as an example. Let's say you go to gurdwara. that is more than just a place of worship. It becomes a place of social events. It becomes a place of language learning. It becomes place of cuisine. We have a central location where we get to preserve, and we kind of boost each other up, because I'm going to see my peers dressed in the latest Punjabi outfit, and now I want that too. So it's a lot of the idea of who's influencing you. And that we influence each other in a way.
I think part of also what I was thinking about is that in India itself it's an Indian subcontinent, right? Including Pakistan. I'm just putting the whole subcontinent in one bucket, the Desi community. We are so used to, because the language changes every 50 miles.
Right.
The language changes, culture changes. So we're used to being able to adapt without giving up who we are. So a Punjabi who moves to, let's say, MP or South India, they will still preserve their Punjabi culture, and that's okay. Or a South Indian moving to Punjab or Kashmir or wherever.
That's a good point.
We are used to that. So we don't look at it like, oh my God, like if I give this up, my language is English. If I give that up, or if I hear someone speak another language, somehow that takes away from me. And I think that's the benefit of that subcontinent. And that's been the case. It's not something that happened overnight. That's been the case from the beginning.
Yeah.
Because all the little kingdoms that used to be in India before India became India, they all had their own culture, religion, language. And so people of that place called Indian subcontinent are used to, I think you called it shape-shifting, you called it something else. What did you call it? Reshaping. But something about just being able to go with the flow without giving up your own.
Do you think that it's that our culture, or I should say, though, Desi culture, there's something about Desi culture, it's just so damn fun that you don't want to give up on it, because it's the outfits. I mean, you've got so many choices, not just like, oh, you've got this one. Yeah, it's not just like, here, you got to wear the sari and that's it. No, somebody can decide to wear other things that complement it, and all the jewelry and everything. I mean, we just there's just so much treasure trove of things
and
that
it's
you
like
can
gone
choose
through
from.
so much evolution over time that it's so interesting.
But I would say this. I mean, I don't know if you guys have thought about this, but I just thought about this, that when you mentioned jewelry and all of that, when you think about it, it's mainly the women who've kept their culture, okay? Because you don't see men walking around with kurta pajama or dhoti, the more indigenous outfits from South Asia. It's the women. We're the ones who are like, wait a minute, 2,000 years ago, women used to wear sari this way. Let me try that. Like, we won't let go.
We won't let go.
But the men have, because if you go to India, if you see 1,000 men walking on the road, the amount of dhotis that you would see in probably Bombay, other than the very poor who really maybe can't afford it.
Yeah.
Most other people you'll see, especially in the upper classes, you see men wearing just Western outfits. So I would say men haven't done a good job of keeping this up, but women certainly have. We won't let go.
But I think there is a resurgence of men embracing wearing the fancier
Sherwani
and
stuff,
Ashkan and whatever. And so I think that there is that
pride is there.
Of coming back.
The sense of pride is there. They may not wear it, but when they do wear it, they feel the walk is different. The whole mannerism is different. So that means internally there is a sense of connection. They may not think it's necessary every day. Whereas us, we feel like this is me. This is part of us. So let me ask you a question.
Can I just comment one thing? I mean, since we're talking about men versus women, one where I've seen Pakistan men do tend to wear more of their Desi outfits. So we want to recognize that they're actually doing a good job.
Yes.
So we do want to recognize the Pakistani men for wearing their more
and then even Pakistani women, the Punjabi suits, I prefer to buy Pakistani made Punjabi suits because they're just more
you just
graceful.
Pissed off so many people that may be listening to us. Look, for me, I don't care, but I just know
because I think they're more closer to our geographic area, the style, versus I don't know. It just, there is a difference, and there just seem to be more well made, better made, and
They
are
use better
made.
material for sure.
and better material, and they're just more graceful, and you don't have to worry about like, oh no, I'm gonna need to wear something under, or I'm gonna need to do this and this. They're just very like practical.
But it is a trend.
And they look nice.
It is a trend in Punjab right now
To buy-
maybe even Delhi as well. But to buy, like when they say, "Oh well, this is Pakistani made," like this is, or it's
like
made in the
superior.
style of Pakistani suits.
Pakistani
So
style.
they are considered to be very quality built, quality made.
Because they're more elegant. You know, you can have a lot of work and still not be elegant. You know,
the
just,
interesting thing is, I was at the Gurdwara this last, not today, but week from today. I actually ended up buying 2 suits. There was a Nagar Kirtan, so there were vendors. And the lady I was buying it from, I just looked at her, I'm like, are you Pakistani? And she's like, yeah. She's like, I've been here for the last 10 years.
I go to
And
Pakistani vendors,
but
yeah.
Pakistani vendors are coming to the Gurdwara to
They
sell
are.
suits. But the thing, and I agree with you, what you just said, they're more graceful and also practical because they will have a full length chunni.
Yes.
Okay. And most of them have long sleeves.
Longer sleeves.
So they, and they're less, you have to worry less about the decency aspect of it for the Gurdwara because you don't want like a low neck. You don't want a deep cut. So
But the
works
And
for
you
same
also
Gurdwara.
don't want it to be sloppy looking because a
Yes.
lot of the kind of the Bombay
Yeah.
suits that are coming into the United States,
They don't feel like suits.
they're not pretty.
And the
like I'm
color
talking about I'm not
combination.
talking about the
Yeah.
fancy, brand name suits. I'm talking about like the basic suit that comes from Bombay. If you want to go buy a basic suit, not a wedding suit, but a basic suit, the quality of those are crap. It's really bad.
Yeah.
It's like here's a see-through kurta.
Yeah.
And,
no,
here's
and then
some
those,
tights.
even though it may be like, okay, I can wear this at the Gurdwara, but the same suit, I can wear it to somebody's gathering.
Yeah,
like
'cause
it
it's
applies to
beautiful
both.
enough.
It's
Yeah.
beautifully made.
Yeah.
So you can be at a very, spiritual setting, or you can be at a friend's get-together, and it works in both ways.
Okay, we're talking about clothes. Men's clothes. Somebody please tell me, is this Desi or is this Western? Safari suit. What the hell
No,
is
that's
that?
from African style when you go
So
to
you know what
safari.
it is?
What is safari suit that men had in the 1980s?
Can I take a guess at it? I've thought about it. Actually, I've thought a lot about it for some reason. Because it sounds very fascinating to me, a safari suit, right? So when the British, excuse me,
They are Gode, that's what we call them.
when the Gore people, the British, went to Africa and it's hot there, right? And you're going on a safari, but they have to wear suit. So they have this evening suit, night, like they have suit for like a dinner suit, right? They have specific, especially in the early 1900s, they had very specific like outfits for
We've
an
all
occasion.
seen Downton
Yeah, we've
Abbey,
seen
right.
Downton
We've seen
Abbey.
Downton
Yeah,
Abbey,
so
that's
go
it.
with that.
Yeah. Okay.
So when you go on a safari, you can have a safari suit. So one thing you'll notice with the safari suit is half sleeve.
Right.
And the shirt is shaped like a suit jacket, but it's half sleeve. So it's a collared shirt, kind of stiff looking, and then pants, matching pants.
And it's a lighter
It's
material
a lighter
than a
material.
suit.
Usually it's made out of, I'm trying to think of the
Just
material.
like a shirt material.
Like a cottony material,
Yeah.
right?
So
like
you-
linen.
So you feel like you're dressed a little bit formal than your normal clothes, but not so formal that you're all stiff in a suit.
And it works in India
Yeah.
with the similar weather.
Similar
So
weather.
Safari. So if anyone understands the history, please comment because I just made up the history.
No, I think
Totally
that
made that up.
history
No, it
makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah,
I mean,
okay.
you're trying to be sophisticated
Without-
and dressed up
Yeah.
and showing that you're professional, but there's no way in hell that you can run around in India in a suit, right? With the blazer and all of that, with the tie, it just doesn't make sense. So
Yeah.
this
But
was a
people-
practical
But people
decision.
do because they think they have to. Some people.
But, and they do have to.
Yeah.
In winter, it works, right?
It
And in
works.
winter, you can totally do the whole thing and it's fine.
I mean,
But
there
that
was a
may-
generation
yeah.
that liked to dress up. Like athleisure was not a thing. They didn't run around in shorts and t-shirts
Or tennis shoes.
or tennis shoes. Same thing in America, right? Like nobody ever wore that if you have, uncles and everybody that was living here. Everybody used to wear pants, tucked in shirt, and
Very
all
proper.
of that.
But talking about that,
Yeah.
evening suit, safari suit, this and that, or just generational differences in how we dress, or how do you store? Like I have a big pile of just chunnis, dupattas. What do I do with them? And then the other thing is, then I have, let's say a lehenga type of outfits. And then I have my Punjabi suits. Then I have saris. And then I have my winter jackets. And then I have my work clothes. And then I have my everyday clothes, that clothes you go like grocery shopping in. We have I think our challenge is there are multiple wardrobes, but one closet. And I know every Desi, I want to say person, but more women than men deal with this challenge of what do I do with all these clothes? My suitcases are filled with clothes. That's another storage space for me or like the top shelf is going to have certain things put away. So
What do we do?
let's talk about that challenge. Like, what do we do? And how do we get rid of the ones we don't need?
You need, what is that lady's name? Marie Kondo?
Yeah.
Right?
Marie Kondo?
Marie
Marie
Kondo,
Kondo.
No,
right?
that doesn't work for me.
Doesn't
I don't want to say thank you to I don't want to get rid of my clothes because some of them I've hardly worn. So you feel bad. And some of them have sentimental value. Like so-and-so gave this to me. And honestly, they're expensive. Like Desi outfits are expensive.
Yeah, and it still brings you joy. So
And they bring you joy. So I
Kondo, you
cannot get rid of. They
something.
all bring me joy.
So what I've done, it's like a moving closet. That's how I would put it. Okay, so I have probably two and a half storage spaces dedicated. So 2 closets plus like a part of one closet dedicated to just Indian suits. And that doesn't include the suitcases.
Yeah.
Because we all have
Suitcases filled with
suitcases filled with Indian clothing. So I have in my guest closet, guest bedroom closet is full of my Indian clothing. My storage closet is full of my Indian clothing. And my regular closet, I actually don't keep any suits in. That's my overflow closet. So because it's downstairs, so when I change out of clothes, I don't want to rush my suit upstairs.
Yeah.
I have small space in my regular closet for just hanging a
Everyday
couple of
kind
suits.
of
And then I
suits.
take them up as I get a chance.
The struggle is real. These are what we call first world problems.
Yes.
Yeah, like what do
And
we do?
you guys
It is
seem
a
to have
first world
major,
problem.
and another one is don't forget that we're talking about Desi clothes, but what about the other clothes, right?
That's what I
just
was
being a
regular
woman, we
clothes,
have
yeah.
even within that, you have your work clothes, you have your your dresses, you have the business
Exercise,
casual,
formal,
athleisure,
Formal Western clothing,
Formal
right?
Western,
Like long dresses.
yes.
Mine are also in the guest bedroom,
Yeah.
so that's where
And
I
see,
keep
I
all
don't
my
have
Desi
a
clothes.
guest bedroom. So I just have a closet that normal people have, a closet. And how do I manage all of it? You can check under my bed. There's going to be tubs full of clothes.
Maybe
You know,
that's what you need. Like maybe at some
Just
point
find
people
At
need
some
to get a
point.
storage container and put like
on my
everything
driveway,
in there.
I need like a
Yeah.
pod where I keep all my clothes.
Did you guys ever see the Kardashians? Right, because they have massive
I
amounts
can't
of
even
clothes.
imagine.
Right?
Yeah.
They have, I think it was like a 50,000 square foot warehouse or something, like a massive warehouse.
That's what I need.
Where that's just serves as their closet.
I need
all
that.
their clothes.
So Kardashians,
all
if you
the-
have any space in your 50,000,
Can we
what
take
we
a
need.
50 square foot
Little
there?
bit.
That is what we need. Maybe we can get like a family storage, right?
But the problem
and
is
share it.
the problem is accessibility.
Yeah,
like
you
to me,
need it right then and there.
And I don't know if you guys do this, and I'm embarrassed to admit, but I do this. So if I have to go somewhere, let's say a wedding party, whatever, something important, not like Gurdwara, but like somewhere.
Gurdwara
I will
is
go-
important.
No, I understand, but that's like a wardrobe. That's
when
like
you're dressing up
that's like a
somewhere.
uniform. I already have my suits. I repeat them all the time. I don't even care.
Something
Yeah.
out of the ordinary.
Yeah,
you're
something
going
out of the ordinary. First of all, you haven't worn this stuff in a long time. So you're like, oh, let me try it on, make sure it fits, make sure it looks nice. Oh, and then I have to match jewelry. And then I'm like, no, but I don't like this. So I'm going to try something else. Next thing you know, you have a pile of
of
clothing
stuff on your bed
on your
and
bed.
floor and everywhere.
And suddenly
yes.
you've created a task for yourself to rehang all those clothes.
And
Yeah.
every outfit has like 5 things to it.
It's layers of
Every-
stuff
But
that
see,
goes with it.
I don't do that. For me, desi clothes are like a task. I don't get excited about wearing them because now you have to worry about I gotta pin these things, I gotta
can
put
be
this in
stressful. It
place,
is stressful,
I gotta
yeah.
iron the damn thing, and there's always like iron's too hot, and you end up burning a little bit, and you're trying to like trying to make sure people don't see it.
Yeah.
The struggle is real, you guys.
and then
That
putting
is a
them
tough
on
thing.
and taking them off
There's
is also
no
a
joy
struggle.
in it.
There's no joy in it. And
I
so-
agree.
So,
There's no joy
so
in
for
it.
the Gurdwara, for instance, I've got like maybe I have seasons for my suits for the Gurdwara. These are my go-to suits. It's 1 or 2. Okay.
Yeah.
And if I had to go to the Gurdwara like, 2
Third
days in
time.
a row, then I know what I'm gonna wear the 3rd time. Yeah, it's a problem. Like now I gotta figure this out. Those two suits are always ready to go. And they're always the comfortable ones. You know, the ones that I'm like, those are not a task.
They're go-to.
I love wearing them. Eating langar, I gotta be very strategic to make sure I don't get like any dal on them because that has happened in the past, as
And
I'm
then
sure
the
it's
Gurdwara
happened to
shout
everybody.
has dal on
So,
it,
by the way, the trick is you don't put the plate on the floor. You put the
carry
plate.
it.
Yes, you hold
Or you
it.
hold the
Like this.
prashada. So you do this, you dip your prashada and you bring it, hold the prashada in your hand and you bring it like this.
Okay, I just learned something new.
Yeah, because
Okay.
you don't need to carry your entire plate. You just use the prashada.
My plate
as-
is like next to my chin
Okay,
because
I'm learning so
stressed
much
out.
right now because I do neither one of those techniques and my suits are like a mess.
No, I've always done the
because I'm
prashada
always
thing.
like, and then
Yeah, everything's
you
with the
take-
haldi da dal,
I hold
right?
the prashada always in my hand. And then as I break pieces and I do this, then prashada becomes a little plate for me.
okay,
And then I do this.
oh wow,
That is very
That
strategic.
is actually
I
smart.
really like that.
I'm gonna do that now from
Yeah.
now on because especially if you're wearing like a white suit or something, forget it. Like you just you're
Well, see, white outfits in general are stressful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
At the Gurdwara, anywhere, they're stressful.
Yeah.
You're pretty much going to get one good day out of them.
Yeah.
Right.
And
The first
then
time you
have
wear
to
lucky.
rewash them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you rewash it, it turns brown. Doesn't matter how much
Yeah.
bleach you used or whatever. If you there's always stains on it by the end of the day. For me, it's always coffee and cha. Okay.
And even when you create that big task, now I have salwar of this suit and kameez of this suit and a chunni of this suit and those earrings and that necklace. And then, they're not easily foldable clothes. The desi clothes, you can hang them, but folding would take like half of a suitcase space. Imagine folding a lenga. That takes up
yeah.
the entire suitcase. You put the big poofy thing in there, that's your entire suitcase is gone. Space is
the
gone.
lengas for the wedding and mendi, right? They were so poofy and so
Because of
big
that
and
thing
so
they
much
put at the
material.
bottom. What do
Well,
they
the
call it?
tool, but
The
also
tool.
also the lenga itself would be still
Yeah,
very
even
big, right?
without it, it's huge.
Yeah, so the container or the package that it comes with is like the same as like when you buy a mattress. It's like the container, the zipper, and
They've
everything.
done a good job coming up with those.
Yeah,
it's
now
very
I
smart.
saved them because it needs to go back in there.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I keep those in there. I keep the lengas in there. But what I've noticed, what I've found myself doing is the stuff that's really pretty and frilly and elaborate. I wear it less because I'm like, when it's time to go, I'm like, I want to dance,
Yeah.
and I can't dance with this. So always, I give up on that idea. At the end of the day, I end up wearing something that I'm super comfortable in.
Yeah.
Anyway, so why are we buying this?
But I think
crazy
I've
outfits?
also gone
Yeah.
hybrid in a way. And I think a lot of Desi people do that. For example, if I'm invited to right now, like it's fall season, right? So if I'm invited to even like, let's say somebody's baby shower or bridal shower or something like that, which is not extremely extravagant event, but it's not too casual either, then I'll wear something like what I'm wearing right now. I'll wear like a Western style infusion outfit, but I may have like a chutney and I may have so it gives that Desi vibe to it, but it's not necessarily the entire Desi outfit. And the other thing is with Desi outfit, we tend to wear like open-toed shoes, for example,
Sandals.
sandals, heels. But a lot of these desi outfits, you're going to be freezing during fall. So with this, I know I can wear like my boots, right? So I'm going to be comfortable. I'm not going to be exhausted and tired from wearing heels, dancing in heels. I'm going to be wearing these and still. So now I think we're finding ways to make it stylish and comfortable at the same time.
Well, let me ask you this, because you touched on this. When it's cold, I mean, it just freaking sucks to wear a coat over your suit. Your sweater.
You can have a shawl
cardigan
and that's
over
it.
your sweater.
Don't have anything else. It's
Yeah,
not
like your shawl is good.
Yeah, you're gonna wear. What do you wear with the sari, right? You're wearing a sari, like you already are dealing with the palla, which is very hard, and then now you have a shawl.
Well, then you look like an Indian politician. Yeah. Just that. Like, you gotta be
if
careful.
I wear like a blazer on my sari, I'm gonna be like, vote for me, right?
Vote
so
for
I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Or you have to go to the other extreme, like wear like a fur thing or something. You know, like I don't know what they're called.
But if somebody
like
can
faux
come up
fur.
with something that would make an Indian outfit look good,
Well,
They
they
did.
do the shawl.
They did.
what?
Well, like if you look at like back in the 60s and stuff when
did.
our
They
parents
wore-
got married, right? If people got married in winter, they would have sweaters that had like a little embroidery and stuff on
That-
it.
that
And they
went
used to
with
kind of like
sarees.
try to make it blend in a little bit.
But
Not
I saw-
extremely, but
But
like
I saw
a little
somebody
bit.
else's style that looked very stylish. What they wore was like a knit full sleeves, like turtleneck sweater with a sari. And it looks perfectly
Why
normal.
not, right?
And then
Yeah.
also the other struggle with the sari is if you have sari, you have no pockets, right? So I was watching somebody say, what you do is underneath you wear like
Put it in your bra.
biker shorts, which have pockets. And you can store things so you're not having to carry this
But
big
what are you
bag.
gonna do? Dig up your sari?
No, then you have to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, and you have to go to the bath. No, thank you to the biker shorts. I'm so sorry.
Wait a minute, let me pay.
Let me pick up this tons of fabric
You know what?
so I
you know
can
what
get to the pocket.
The most practical solution is that what our we saw our grandmother do this with her chunni is you just put your money or whatever.
They would
and
tie
you
the little
They would
thing.
just tie it.
Yeah, and
You know,
even the
just-
keys.
Yeah, even the keys. They would
They
just
would
tie
just
it
tie
to their
it.
You
palla.
can just stick it on your waist also, but just nobody needs to like see it. It can
What
be
if they
covered
come
up with the.
What if somebody comes up with a this is a really
Sari
great
with
idea.
pockets.
A little clip on the sari
They
that
do.
has a little
I think
pouch.
they do. They
that
do.
has
They
a
do.
pouch.
They do.
No,
with
well,
pants
not a
and stuff.
pouch,
They
but I
do.
No,
think
I'm
they
talking
do.
about pouch. So
No,
you
they
could
do
like,
have it.
Really?
I mean, it's not meant for saris only, but you know, like men have. It's made for men. Like with your pants, you put the clip. It has the key stringy thing
No,
on
that's
it.
not what
It
I'm
has the
talking
little
about.
thing on it.
I'm talking about like a really pretty purse that you could just clip on, and then you'll have a little pouch that you
They
could put.
did.
You know, like
Remember?
a,
No, they
okay.
did. Remember those saris that you see that they have this little decorative thing hanging? It's meant for that.
I think so too.
Yeah.
But I think another thing they can do is, you know, like there's the fanny pack, right?
yeah.
They could do like a fanny pack, but like, hey, you know, use like a pretty chain
Yeah,
and
like a
a
really
little
pretty
pretty
chain with
gold
the fanny-
pouch, and it doesn't have to be so big.
or
You
it
just
could be
need it for,
chain
like,
in the
your
front
credit
and the
cards or
little
something.
pouch in the back where you don't see it.
or on the side,
Or on the side.
or something
Yeah.
you could like tuck in, but then still access because there's a zipper. We're giving so many business ideas. Anybody wants to take them, take them. Just give us like something, you know,
Or
to
on the
take
side
home.
of the sleeve.
You can
know how,
send us
like in the
little gifts.
1950s, they put the cigarette pack here. On your blouse side, that has
Actually,
a
that's
on
another
it.
like a little.
You put a little pocket here.
a little strap on your wrist
Yes.
or something. It could be pretty.
Yeah,
it
a
could be a
little
jewelry
strap, like a
piece.
jewelry strap.
Yeah,
with
it
the-
could be that, but it's really keeping your $5 and
But
the
the
lipstick.
fact that we haven't, no one's thought about this, and then the sari. And please, like, I'm not a sari wearer. I've only worn sari probably a dozen times in my life. But the palla, right? Now your one hand is gone too.
I know.
Now your hand is gone.
No, but you can
No,
pin
it's not.
it.
It's
Yes,
gone
it is.
because we don't know how to put on a sari, okay? There are plenty of women out there that wore saris every day, all the time,
I
and they
know.
could
And they
jog
could do
in
like
them, okay?
they could
Like,
do
yeah.
all the household chores.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
they
yeah.
No,
did
I
this.
know.
It's not a flat. It's like a household
They
chore
didn't make
style.
it like
It wasn't
fancy.
stylish.
No, but I've
like,
seen,
yeah,
I've
runway
seen
style
when
or
they
something.
pin it nicely. I've
Yeah.
seen them pin it to the shoulder, shoulder, and then they'll pin it to your wrist in such a way that it doesn't move, and you can still, like, yes, you can't really, like, throw a baseball with it, but you can still function.
But I think
So it's
sari
still
is good. Like
functional.
if you're going to a gathering where you're gonna either sit or stand mostly, then okay, it's good. But then if you want
fun
to
is
do
gone.
anything, because then you have to stand a certain way, you have to sit a certain way, you have to act a certain way. It's not so comfortable, I want to say.
I have seen girls on social media doing pangra in a sari. Like, how
Well,
the
why
heck
would you
did
do
you
that?
do that? Well, look,
My
if you're
question
having
would
fun,
be, why
go for
are
it.
you wearing a sari and doing pangra?
I mean,
But
whatever
I mean,
it was.
you could. I mean, you're
But
not
that's
doing
pretty
those
impressive.
big steps. You could do small steps.
Sure.
Just a small.
No,
you
they
could
were
do
doing big steps. They're going all out. Very impressive.
It's not meant to
But
be,
look, I could not
danced
do
with
it, but
the
that's
sari.
fantastic that they could do it. But
If someone can do it, more power to them.
It's like a freak
But
of nature.
Maybe if someone, I know obviously in South India and other parts of India, there are many parts of India that exclusively wear saris. They obviously are so used to it. And it could be the material of the sari too. A lot of times when we wear fancy sari, it's the slippery, silky material.
Yeah.
Women are functioning in sari every day. They're not wearing silky material
They're wearing
every day.
cotton.
Yeah.
They're wearing cotton. They're wearing other material that's
it's
easy to
fitted
manage.
properly for them. Like, they
Yeah.
know, the blouse is the way it's supposed to be. It's sized properly. I mean, look at Bharatanatyam.
Yeah,
It
You're doing
is
in
a sari. I
Yeah.
think it's an
just
extra
tied
long sari.
differently.
I don't think it's even the normal size
Yeah.
sari too. And they're doing some very intense moves.
Look at Shri Devi. I mean, can
Yeah.
we talk about Shri Devi, like how she
I
managed
think
sari?
we talk about her like in every episode. We always come back to Sri Devi.
Because she was the ideal. I mean, if you want to
I
talk
didn't
about
realize you liked Sri Devi this much.
Yeah, I did not
we
know
were
that.
crazy
no
about
idea.
Shri Devi at some point
We
in our
not
life.
know.
Really?
I was never, but I didn't realize you guys were that crazy.
No, I'm
you
not.
were that crazy about
Well,
it.
if I have to say someone who impresses me as a female actress, I would say Shri Devi definitely like meets that mark for me, because I feel like she was exceptionally good at
I
what
wonder
she did
how Sri
as far as
Devi's
acting.
closet looked.
So her sister was her dress designer.
I didn't know that. That's pretty cool.
Her sister was a dress designer. I think eventually they had a falling out, but all her fancy outfits and everything were always designed by her sister.
What about if we shift to now? Okay, so we know we have in one closet, we have a challenge of managing multiple wardrobes, right? That's one of the Desi challenge.
We did not talk about jewelry yet. I just want to point
I
that
know,
out, by
but
the way.
I want to go to also there's multiple pantries in one kitchen. We've got like food. There's bunch of different types of foods that we have to manage as well. So it's not like every day I'm just cooking Punjabi food, for example. There might be some days that I'm cooking something else, pasta. So it's kind of like saying masalas, but then there's also macaroni and cheese. Like how do you manage
Mexican
that?
food. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think our kitchens, my kitchen is a hybrid of lots of different things. I mean, I might be making a tuna salad sandwich, or I might be making Mexican food, tacos. So I have those kind of masalas,
Seasonings,
right?
yeah.
Seasonings and I think people will say, because when I went to India, like people ask you, question, what do you eat there? And you say, oh yeah, we eat this. We still eat like dal chawal and pronte and roti and all of that. But the amount of shape shifting, I'll call it again, that we do on continuous basis at our homes in the kitchen is not anything. It's not us cooking, having tacos is not like something extraordinary. It's not like, oh, I'm making tacos today. Oh, special food being made.
No.
It's our normal food that we're eating every day. If we're having hamburgers, if you're making macaroni and cheese or whatever the kids are eating, it's part of our regular cuisine. It's in the circulation of whatever it is that we're cooking in the kitchen.
So you can say we've expanded our choices in a way.
Yeah, but also because of our kids who want the more varied food, especially in California. We're so used to just, wait a minute, are we having Italian food every day? Are we having Indian food? They want different continents every day.
different cuisines.
Yeah. And so we have to accommodate for that. But then we've got our elders who like our
Exactly.
dad, or if we talk about just elders in general, unless you're making roti,
It's not food.
they're like, oh, well, ate kha liya.
Hun khana
Thank you
hai.
very much. That was really good. But roti ko to
When's
banegi.
dinner?
When
Yeah.
is dinner? So dinner is not done until roti is made.
And that's true for like even like Chinese parents. My
Yeah.
friends would say like, unless you serve rice, they feel like they haven't eaten.
haven't
Like you
eaten.
could go to Italian restaurant and they come home and they eat their rice. Like that's, it just doesn't, other things doesn't hit that spot
Yeah.
until you eat what you're used to.
So we're
See,
still making that.
I don't have too much of that problem because I don't cook as often. And the day I am going to cook is the day I go and buy something because we don't always feel like the same thing. It's hard to predict what I want tomorrow night. Even tonight, I don't know what I want to eat.
Your life sounds very easy. to
Well,
me.
I've made it easy because there's only I've forgiven myself. I can only do so many things, and I can't check all the boxes and dot all the I's and cross all the T's when it comes to household and trying to run a business at the same
Yeah.
time. So some days, yes, some days it's like you got to negotiate, right? What's going on in your life and what I need to give up. And, if you're eating out, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're compromising on quality. You can still make
Yeah,
good
you can still.
choices, or you go and, have that certain meal that you want to have even at home. But what's funny is that you talked about, Upma, talking to family back home and telling them about what you're eating and what you're doing and so on, and them being fascinated on the variety. So we had family call from India at our house, and they were like, "Oh, so what are you guys cooking?" And in my house, I cook desi. If we have to cook desi, anything else, it's my husband. He cooks all the other stuff. And so they're calling us, so Kavita, ki banaya aaj khan waste? And I'm like, this and that, right? I was
like,
trying to
I
play it
have
off.
no idea, but okay, this and that.
They're talking to my husband, and he said steak. Mass steak. It just sounded like, first of all, I sounded spoiled, which I am when it comes to food. And you come across as such a carnivore because they're like steak cut in it, like on a Wednesday night, like. But we
Why
make
can't we
random
have snake?
decisions. But it's just funny that the lifestyle is very different in America, where India too. Even the people that are well off and so on, they're not necessarily having consuming so much meat just in general in their diet. It's not preferred. And so in our diets over here, it's like there's so much like, oh, well, all day I haven't had meat. I think I'm down on my protein intake
I
today.
thought about that yesterday. I'm like, wait a minute. Like, I haven't had any protein today. Like, we're so mindful
Like
of that.
at the minimum, eat an egg, right?
Yeah, at least,
At the
right?
minimum, yeah.
Yeah. So we
Dal's not going to give
It's
us
not
enough
gonna give
protein.
you protein,
You know what
yeah.
that is also, I talked to a dietitian one time and I said, so if somebody is a vegetarian, is that good or bad? Like, are they getting enough protein? And it was a class I was taking. She was also the professor. And she said, actually, it's whatever your body is used to. So if you've been vegetarian most of your life, then your body knows how to get protein from what you're eating. If you haven't been vegetarian for most of your life and all of a sudden you say, I'm choosing now to become a vegetarian, then your body actually doesn't know what to do. So you have to kind of slowly, you can't just say one day, I'm going to become vegetarian. You might start decreasing your meat intake and increasing the vegetarian choices over time. You can't, it's like quitting.
don't do one fine day and decide
Don't do
this or
one fine
that.
day
Don't
because
go
your
cold
body
turkey.
does
Yeah.
not know how to get those nutrients otherwise. But if you've always been vegetarian, your body knows what to do.
That's a really good point. I have never thought about that, but that makes
That is
a lot of
fascinating.
logical sense that our body is supposed to be, it's working in a certain way. It has a lot of things to do. It's like a machinery. And you suddenly decide, you know what? No more oil. We're going electric. No, like you have to be prepared, and your body has to know what is it that you're trying to do.
Same
and
thing with
slowly
sugar and
accumulate.
everything.
Yeah.
Because if you all of a sudden say no more sugar, maybe you might get a headache. So you kind of have to do
Slowly
this over
acclimate.
time. So And same thing with eating meat. Like you can't just say, now I'm going to eat meat. You might get tummy aches.
A lot of people have those problems. They
Yeah.
get stomach problems with their digestion when they all of a sudden decide that they're going on a keto diet.
Yeah.
That means no more fruits and vegetables when people go extreme.
Yes.
No more fruits and vegetables, and I'm going all hard on meat. Guess what? Your body's like, wait a minute, where's the fiber?
Yeah.
You used to feed me fiber, and you
Yeah.
decided not to. The funny thing is, we are so careful changing the diet of our dogs. Okay?
Of our who?
Our dogs, our pets.
Oh, yeah.
Like, for example, we are so careful that, and we've been told by doctors, like, don't one fine day decide, you know what, not this dog food, I'm going with the other dog food. That you have to mix the two,
Slowly
slowly
introduce.
increase one, decrease one until it's 100%. So we're thinking about that when it comes to dogs, but we're not thinking about that when
yeah.
it comes to our own body.
By the way, I think my dog is more desi than us.
What do you
So he eats roti. He loves roti.
Yeah.
Yesterday we made methi di roti. He actually consumed it. I was surprised.
dogs
It's like, he
love
loved
roti.
it.
In general,
He
they
loved it.
like roti.
Oreo,
Even
my Oreo doesn't care.
What the-
She's all chicken.
she only likes chicken.
She likes chicken with her little bit of dog kibble kind of food. You mix the two, and that's her diet, and that's what she goes for.
Milo eats everything.
No, she
he's
does
like
not
me.
eat
He's a
everything.
foodie. He will eat Oreo's food and Earl's food and any other dog or human food.
No,
He
Oreo
doesn't
would be
care.
like, no, no, it has to be that. So now I have to, like, for last 15 years, I've been cooking chicken for Oreo.
So not
They're
only
fussy,
do
they're
we
like
have to
little
make
babies.
desi food, not only do we have to make like the American food, what we call American non-desi food, we also have to make dog food. And what else do we have to
But you know what's fascinating about food? We were talking about the variety of food in America, right? We have more variety of desi food in America too. Because when we had the grocery store, we had a desi grocery store. When we had the grocery store, we had all kinds of products from Pakistan.
Yeah.
You name it, all the Chan masalas,
So
all
true.
the Ahmed masalas, Sri Lankan products. We had
Afghani products.
Afghani products and South Indian products. South
Bangladeshi.
Indian products, a different variety of vegetables and things like that. Things that you would never even see in Punjab. We had them at the store, and people loved it. People loved the variety of things that they could try in the United States. So even when we had relatives visiting us in America, they were walking around, they're like, oh my gosh, I've never seen this stuff. How do you guys have all this stuff? And they took masalas from here to take back to India because you couldn't find them there.
Yeah.
So we are very spoiled.
But that goes for people too. When we were there in Punjab, you only met Punjabi people.
Yeah.
You didn't meet somebody from Sri Lanka or somebody from Bangladesh. So here we actually met more Desi
Types
population.
of desi people, different types of,
because we just realized we're not really monolithic group here. We're very diverse group. Desi is not one type. It's so many different types of people. And we got to, that's the beauty of being in America or outside India is once you go outside, you're like, oh, I have Pakistani friends, I have Bangladeshi friends, I have Nepali friends, I have, Sri Lankan friends. So I think it kind of enriches you. You expand. I think I used the word earlier. Our cooking has expanded, and so has our exposure to different types of people has expanded.
I think it makes you a better person to know that there's so much diverse group of people that you can love. You can have friends who are South Indian, right? You can have friends who are Bangladeshi or even Pakistani. You can have Pakistani friends. Yes, we've had them. We have them. Afghani friends, and what that culture of the subcontinent, because even though there's all these diverse cultures, there's this overarching kind of umbrella culture, if you will, I'll call it that. It's that idea of certain respect that's paid to the elders, certain respect and the way we talk to each other. So we do get attracted to each other because of those reasons, because there's familiarity. For example, if you talk about dal, like you might be
everybody knows
making
dal.
sambar. I know I don't say it right, but sambar, that's what I call it. I know that's not the right way of saying it, but you might be making dal makhani. You might be making like dal with gur in it for like, maybe Gujarati or something. But it's dal, and we understand that.
Yeah.
So let's just call it the dal culture. At the end of the day, we're all eating different types of dal.
So true.
Yeah.
Or chole.
Or chole.
Chole is
but
very
chole is a
unifying.
very
Chole
North
is-
Indian thing.
But it's
Pakistani
unifying.
also. I mean,
No,
I
but
guess
North
you're
Indian-
right.
I mean,
that
North-
North area.
when I say North
you're
Indian,
right,
I meant-
You're right.
yeah.
Which I found very fascinating that in a lot of India, they don't eat kale chole.
Oh my God, we're missing out.
You know what we have in common with a lot of the people in the east coast of Africa? They eat a lot of kale chole.
Yeah.
And we are like, Punjabis, we love our kale chole.
We love our kale chole. Yeah, for sure. One thing I didn't realize, Mexicans eat a lot of chole too. And
Kale chole?
Yeah,
they
garbanzos.
have garbanzos.
No, garbanzo, yes, but chole? Kale
So
chole?
one time, the first time I saw cholia in here was on the side of the road. Somebody was selling fruit, and then they had bunch of cholia, and I'm like,
interesting.
I didn't realize that Mexicans must be eating that because they are selling it. So yeah, I think they eat different types of chole, and now this begs the question: what's the origination? Where did chole
was
come
just
from?
thinking about
Right?
that.
Because we know that makki came from South America. We know green chilies came from South America. Rajma came from South America.
All the good
Did
stuff came
chole
from
come
South
from
America.
South
I
America?
It
don't
could have been
think
very-
so. I
very
would
possible.
I would say you have to watch that. That cook something Barad. I forgot his
Ranveer
first name.
Barad? Ranveer?
Right? He always, when he makes chole, he gives you like a little history lesson of where it
Okay.
came, where it originated from, and so on. So I would, if I had to guess, I would say it was probably like
Middle
through
Eastern?
Alexander the Great. It probably came
Yeah,
down.
like
through
they're
that.
eating a lot of
Yeah.
hummus and stuff over there,
Right.
and like
That's
turkey and
Well, a lot
Middle
of our
East.
food is close to what Mediterranean diet is, the north part of the continent.
What's
you know?
interesting, like we always think samosa, and our show's name is
No, it's
samosa, so there it is. That it's a very Indian thing, but essentially samosa originally was meat filled. Now, funny thing is, if you see meat filled samosa, Indians will say, "Well, that's not samosa."
That's not samosa.
But the original samosa came from like Uzbekistan
East,
or something, and they fill it with different types of meat. When it came to India, of course, like with a lot of vegetarians, and
It became
became
vegetarian.
more of a potato thing. But even potatoes came from South America.
Yeah, potatoes were not.
That's
And I
interesting.
watched a show one time. I was watching. It was a
Very
show
Indian.
on Netflix about Mahatma Buddha, right? About Buddha. And when he comes home after going somewhere, when he returns back to the kingdom, there's food in front of him and there's potatoes. And I'm like, somebody did not do their research. We didn't have potatoes at that time in the Indian subcontinent. So, just interesting episode. But I would say, going back to what you were saying, that all of a sudden when we come outside of our, native countries, that we meet people that we would not have met otherwise. So I'm thinking, it reminded me of a TED Talk that's The Danger of Single Story, where she talks about, she's from Africa, and she talks about how when she was in Africa, she identified as like she's Nigerian, for example. But when she came outside Africa, all of a sudden everybody's like, oh, you're African. And she said she started to fall in love with that title too, even though Africa is a continent. It's not one country, right? Same thing I think happens to us. Over there, we'll say, oh, those people over there in Assam, or those people over there in Pakistan, right? But when we come here, all of a sudden we're like, oh, these are our people. We sort of we take on this different identity that's more of a collective identity. And I think that's unique about people who don't live, us who are outside of those countries.
I also think people who came here, like us, we came here over 40 years ago. At that time, there weren't that many Desi people in general. So if you saw a Gujarati family, like we did, we had very close friends that were Gujarati, that we just kind of randomly ran into in the street. And it's like, hey, Indian, like... So we became very close to them, and we learned a lot about the Gujarati culture at that time. Now, because there's so many people from India and Indian subcontinent, I don't think people are necessarily like getting attracted to each other and magnetizing towards each other the way we did. So now you could be just keeping up with the Punjabis or just keeping up with the Gujaratis, or even South Indian, you might be like Tamil versus Telugu versus Kannada. You know, you can be very precise now and in a way divisive about those things because you can, because there's plenty of
There's
people from
more
you to choose from.
in population.
When we came here at that time, you're Pakistani, you're Afghanistani, close enough. We're friends now. You know, like we were.
Even Iran, like, okay.
Iran,
You're somewhere.
You
You're
call it Sab, we call it Sab.
Sab,
We're friends
good.
now. Like we were so. It was beautiful. I kind of missed that time where we kind of broke those walls and we kind of got attracted towards each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even, I mean, it does exist still a little bit, but not as much as when we had it there, because at that time it was kind of like, oh my gosh, I don't see anybody from that part of the world, and all of a sudden I see you, and that's all I have, so I'm just gonna be your friend.
Yeah.
You know. So,
But do you think that kinship is still a little bit there? Like,
Yes.
there is a certain
Still.
something where you see them and you're like, even if you see a movie star, right? You're watching TV, you see a movie star in an American film or whatever, you feel a sense of connection with that character a little bit more.
You mean if you see a Desi star,
They see star because
Okay.
you're like, oh, okay,
they'll understand me better.
you
Like
just
who,
there's just a sense of connection that you have with them because they're Desi, and it could be any Desi, but it's like that one Desi that's in that.
you root for them. You're like, yeah, go
You feel
Desi,
for
you
that.
made it, because
Yeah.
you know their struggle too. Because
you
as
can relate to them.
Yeah, as living in this culture as a Desi person, we all have similar struggles.
Yeah.
Our names are butchered. We're always looked at as the other. So you know that person is in Hollywood is going through the same thing. It doesn't matter how important people
famous
think
they
they are,
are,
how
or-
famous they
yeah.
are. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And there is a certain sense of like, you're talking about name being butchered. Actually, that reminds me of a story. When I got into real estate, my name is difficult for the average person to pronounce. So when we do commercial real estate, we have like a 4x4 sign on a main street, and it has your company name and it has your name on there. And so there was this conversation I remember back then when I first started with my broker, you need a nickname, like, but here's the thing, you have to, per the rules, per our license, we have to use our actual name. We can't just like,
Right.
do like a whole different nickname. So it
You
was
can't
like,
just
okay.
become like a Kate.
But I was like, no, this is my identity. I'm going to keep it. And I want people I want to be an example to other girls in particular who see my name on that sign and know that they could do it too. With a difficult name, with whatever, you're still out there, you're still showing up, you're still doing your work. You didn't have to compromise your identity. So I think that's where you don't always have to, you have to figure out where's that red line.
Well, you
for
have to be
yourself.
comfortable
At
in
what
your own
point do you
skin.
push back?
And it comes down to being confident. You have to be comfortable in your own skin. Like, if you don't even like my name, how are we going to do business together? Right? So come to me. Here's my name. You come to me, and we can do business. We can be engaged in business. But if you have trouble with my name, I actually don't want to do business with you. It comes down to that confidence. So every time I saw your name driving by on the road, I'd be like, yes, that's Kavita's name. And I know her. She's famous. She's my sister, right? So
My sister is famous. Yeah.
What's fascinating is I did have a family friend tell me that, hey, my daughter saw your name on that sign. I pointed it out.
Yeah.
And so she's like, oh, Mom, like, this is so fantastic. I see a Desi name on a street, so.
you feel like a few more inches taller because you see like yourself reflected in that name. Even if it's not your name, you're like, okay, I like that.
Right,
You know?
right. So I think there's a red line that I think everybody has to have when they decide, like, how much of that reshaping do I want to do, and how much do I want to maintain? And I think maybe that is a Desi thing where there's a little bit of this this is my self-respect. This is where
don't
I draw
give
the
up on
line.
names.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
We
because
don't draw
look
the
at the significance of your name. It was given with a lot of love and care. It wasn't like randomly like, oh, she's cute. We're gonna name her this, right?
Yeah.
So it's a process that's part of your life. It's one of the important ceremonies in a way.
Okay, but speaking of names, so my nickname is Kavita, right?
Which almost sounds
speaking
like a
to-
real name.
I'm speaking to a Punjabi person over the phone, and they're like, "Oh, you're Punjabi." Is like, "Yes." And your name is Kavita. Isn't that a Hindi name? And I said, "Oh, sure. If my name was like Lucky, if my name was like Happy, my name was like Happy or
Pinky.
Tinky, you would never question me."
Yes.
Well, why is Kavita such a problem for many
The
people?
word
This is not the
Kavita
first
is
time I've heard it.
Punjabi as
Yes.
well. Yeah.
Yes.
So it's
Why is this Hindi for you? My mom named me after her favorite teacher. Why is Kavita not a Punjabi name anymore?
Because they're not used to it. That's why.
because you don't. If your name was Kavita Deep. Or Kavita Preet or Kavita
Jot.
Jeet, we'll be fine. Kavita Jot will be fine. You're very, very Punjabi. For some reason, we love these Jeet, Preet, Jot.
No,
I don't know
we
why.
love Tinky. We love
Well, that
anything,
too, that
right?
too.
Whatever.
It sounds
Laddi,
cute.
which does Laddi even mean anything? But it's such a common name that everybody
Laddi,
accepts
like
it.
you're ladli.
Ladla, but
Yeah.
it's not a word though.
It's not
right?
a word.
It's not a word.
Yeah.
So no offense to those
Well, it's
people
not-
with those
it doesn't
names,
have a
by the way, but I'm
in-depth
just
meaning.
saying
Those are
I'm just as
pet
Punjabi
names.
as you.
Yeah, yeah. And Kavita is a beautiful name. I think now people are, and the interesting thing about a name Kavita, just elaborating on it, is it literally can work. I've known South Indian Kavitas, obviously you. And Kavita can be name that's used by anyone,
Anybody. It is
very
actually.
universal,
So
yeah.
it's very
Well,
universal name.
if a male can have Kavi as
Yeah,
name,
yeah.
then why can't a female be Kavita?
Exactly.
It's like,
It's just too feminine. That's the problem.
no,
It's too
anything that
feminine
ends
of a
with
name.
the ita, like Sarita, Babita. I think it reminds them, Bonita, right? It reminds them of non-Punjabi ending. It has to do with like language. They're not used to that ending.
What about my nickname? I mean, my nickname, I get like, it's so funny having a name like Upma, which means to praise. Like an Upma is beyond praise, right? And in Sukhmani Sahib, Upma shows up so many times. I think in Jap Sahib, Upma
Teri
shows
Upma
up.
toy banawe.
Guru Amar Das ji, that Shabad. So I'm like, I'm fine with the South Indian looking at me going, oh, you're named after food. But when a Punjabi, when we just got done with doing Sukhmani Sahib the part, my name literally showed up like 5 times.
And did they say you remind me of a
your
dish?
name is Upma. Why is it Upma? I like eating Upma. I'm like, shut up. And I'm sorry, I do judge. If you're Punjabi and you do part and you can't understand what my name
Or
means.
even if you didn't do part, if you just know the Punjabi
But
language.
you know what? The reason I
you
say
can
part
still
is
part.
it is a hard word. It's not an easy everyday language word. I don't go like, upma. I don't use upma in a sentence every day. It is a kind of a more
Classic
of a deeper,
word.
classic word. But the reason I say part is because it shows up in part so many times. You go to the Gurdwara Shabad, Teri upma toy banawe, right? Then why are you not owning it?
Right,
And like, why do we not own things that are
Yes.
ours?
And why not?
Yeah.
Why is that so difficult for them? When Anupma, had you said Anupma, they would
That
have been
would have
like,
been
oh, that
fine.
would have been fine,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Why is Upma so hard for
Yeah,
you
but
It's
guys?
like
Anupma.
Kavi versus Kavita.
Right.
Yeah, it's
Anupma
because of
versus Upma.
because of the dish, the South Indian dish called upma. Well, that's fine. I mean, we have. When you think about it, there's a lot of things that if you look at in English language versus Hindi, that it sounds like
it's
something
better
completely
than-
different.
Now there's that, again, talking about double parallels of life. So now they're trying to get away from these words that meant so many beautiful things. And now it's like Ria,
Anya,
Sia,
Anya,
Anya,
Janya.
Vanya, Vanya. It's like, what
What
are
is-
these names?
They mean nothing.
They mean nothing. So those sound okay to you because they have no meaning now. They're going for ease of pronunciation, or maybe they sound, I don't see any
One-syllable
elegance,
words.
one
They
syllable words.
love those now. But it's always trendy, right? I was thinking about, so we had met up with some friends yesterday and we were we were just playing some games, for somebody's birthday party, and what is this person's full name? Well, I won't name who it is, but I knew that she was born in 1965, and I'm like, okay, is her name? So let's imagine her name is whatever. I only know her nickname, but I was trying to figure out how does her name end? Like if her name's Harpreet or Harmeet or Harjeet, and I was like, okay, so let me think. This person's born in 1965. Cannot end with Preet. It was too early for that. Cannot end with Deep. Too early for that. At that time, the trendy thing was Jeet. So I'm like, oh, Harjeet. Like end it with Jeet. That's their real name. So it's like,
or even Inder, Pupinder.
That was before that.
Thing,
that was before.
I think that was a 40s, 50s thing.
By 1960s, early 60s, Inder was a little bit out of fashion.
But Jeet was in.
Yeah, Harvinder and all that. But Jeet was like that. Because if you look at our own cousins who were born in the 1960s or mid to late 60s, most of their names end with
Deep. Hardeep.
That had just started. That was... So we can even tell, right? Because these
generational
names,
but
Punjabi
that's true
names,
for even Western names. Like if you say Grace, everybody's going to be like, oh, that's used to be from another generation.
Or something, yeah.
Or Marshall, those names, they were from certain generation.
So we have that too. And right now, the trend is Nananya, Ananya, Anya, Ria,
Rian,
Mia.
Like, there was a something like TikTok type of video where it's a teacher in India and she's going, Ria, Sia, Mia, Ryan, Ayan, Sayan. Like all the names sound the same.
And they're different. They're different than what we're used to. But when we were growing up, most of the Hindu boys in class, they always had Mahesh, Rakesh, Rajesh. I had Rakesh and Rajesh in my class.
Once in a while, there was a Vicky.
Okay, here's the funny part. So we always talk about girls' names, but I used to have Rakesh and Rajesh in my class.
They were friends. Tell them apart.
They were friends. I knew they were Rakesh and Rajesh, but I didn't know which one was which one. I never knew that.
Or Satish.
Satish was a little bit before us.
I think some of the older boys, were
older
Satish.
boys, yeah.
But I did have a Rajesh in my class. Rajesh.
But you didn't have Rakesh.
I didn't have Rakesh. I had Manish.
Okay.
Manish was in our class for since first grade. So I remember that name, Manish.
But a lot of the names ended with sh.
Yeah.
Like Rajesh, Rakesh, Manish. Like those kind of.
And Vicky.
Vicky.
There was always a Vicky.
I think that was a very trendy name in 1980s because when you watch those movies, like Rishi Kapoor's name was Vicky. What's his name? Sanjay Dutt's name was Vicky. 9 times out of 10. Yes. So those are all the names that were popular. So people
it's a
naming their
Western
kids
name, right? From Victor to Vicky, probably. But no, not from Victor to Vicky. Like here, you notice Vicky is normally a girl's name.
It can be a girl's name. Just like Robbie can be a girl's name and a boy's name here. Robbie.
I don't know.
I've even seen Kelly for a boy and a girl.
Yeah, when you watch those like Irish shows or Scottish
Irish
shows, Terry, Kelly, those are very common names in those shows.
Like Mark Kelly.
But that's the last name.
Yeah, meaning it can show up in different places.
For sure.
Yeah.
What's funny is that you guys talk about your youth and you talk about school. So my elementary school was Tommy, John, Scott, and don't
forget about Gunjan Preet.
Gunjan Preet. Yeah.
That was like my first grade.
You called Gunjan Preet.
My first grade friend.
I thought it was like Gunjan, like
but
Bala.
It was Gunjan.
Well, I thought her name was Gunjal Preet too.
That's what I called Gunjan.
No idea.
Yeah, there was... But I think, and the Sikh boy names, we talked about Hindu boys' name in that generation. The Sikh boy names were what?
Same as Sikh girls' names. We don't really have the difference, right?
We don't. They were unisex, unigender names.
Same names, Preet, Jeet, Meet,
Except for Shamsher, who was in your class.
Yeah, we had...
Shamsher was different.
It was just, he was the funniest guy because we were all like, you could say we were trained, as school does. School trains you. You take these perfectly
Acculturation. Yeah.
perfectly kind of healthy and kind of happy kids. You put them in school. You put them in the system where you say you have to sit down for like 8 hours. Especially in India, like the schools are crazy. Sit down 8 hours. You cannot do this. If you need to go to the bathroom, raise your hand. All of that. But there was a kid. He was a cousin of a friend of mine who'd come from the village. And they'd send him from the village. I know why they did that probably now thinking back, because he was pretty out of control. So he was sent to some relatives in the city. Kind of like similar story to Diljit, because that same thing happened to him. It was, because they send the boys, go to the city, right?
Yeah.
So he'd probably been to some village school where they didn't probably discipline or anything like that. He was such a joker. He would make jokes with the teacher, which we could never, because our little souls had been crushed already. We were just looking at him going, oh my God, he just made a joke with the teacher. Like, it was just, and his name was Shamsher, which you still remember, which I thought was
Well,
really,
he was a character, so it's like Shamsher.
Yeah.
And his handkerchief, you want to tell that story?
Yeah, I'll tell you guys a story. So in school, this was probably, we were in 3rd grade or 4th grade, that the teacher said everyone has to bring a handkerchief to school. And that might have been because all of her nose were running all the time. And she's like, okay, you got everybody, and I'm going to check it.
We used to have to pin it right
or
here so we can just...
And so the whole class, the next day, she goes, okay, everyone, raise your hands and show me your handkerchief. So we're all like, we're showing it. And there's Shamsher. And this kid was double our size because, he was, I think my guess is that he was older than us.
Probably.
He was just in our class. So he'd already had a growth spurt. So he comes and his handkerchief was probably like this cloth that was like, probably like 2 inches by 2 inches at the most. And he's like this proudly. He didn't care.
He's like, you want a piece of fabric? I have it.
I mean, the teacher didn't specify.
She didn't. I totally. And of course, we all
Handkerchief
laughed.
could be a whole blanket, or it could be a teeny tiny piece of
So the first time in our lives in school, we all just broke out into the biggest laughter. So he was just such a.
I wonder where he is now.
I'm sure he was doing something wonderful.
I think we definitely, going back to what we started with in the beginning, this episode, that how we have become so skilled at living in a certain way where we navigate 2 different or 3 different styles. I mean, it's not like we just have Indian Desi outfit. We have Desi in terms of diversity, Desi outfits, right? So there's a diversity there. And then we live not just like hamburgers and tacos, but also there's, we may have Chinese, we can make Chinese cuisine, we have dishes for that. So our kitchen is like a micro world. Our closet is like a micro world. And I always say, when I retire from my job, I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to reduce my closet of work clothes and then actually hang my Desi clothes more. So they take up more space than the work clothes. Right now, it's the other way around. It's my work clothes or outside, when we go outside. It's those clothes and my Desi clothes are hiding in suitcases, in Target bag, in whatever, right? But I want to flip the closet when I retire and just kind of, and a lot
You
of
want to
time
wear saris when you retire.
not sardi.
She's going to be wearing those white sarees.
She's going to be like those actresses in those dramas. Like, they go to bed in their saris, they wake up in
Yes,
their
I'm gonna have
saris.
my whole jewelry on and tick
Full
on, and I'm
makeup.
gonna be sleeping with all
Full
my
makeup.
jewelry on. Yes, full makeup on.
It's so interesting.
But I think I'm gonna flip the narrative in my own closet.
But
And-
why? But why?
Because I want to wear all that stuff that's sitting
hey,
there.
do what you feel like doing. But here's the thing. We're talking about 2 different worlds that you're navigating. I think what's fascinating is that even sitting here with our stories, what you'll see is that the sort of the recipe, for a lack of a better word, the amount of Desi versus Americanized, okay, is so different in each of us.
Even within
and
us,
so
yeah.
when we see that, I think that's where sometimes when parents are raising kids, parents who grew up in India, let's say, and then they're raising their kids in the United States, the children that are older are going to be a little bit different than the children that are younger, just because the younger kids sometimes get more exposed to the American culture over the Desi culture. Because as the time is passing, 10 years, 20 years living in the United States, the parents are also changing as well. So the younger child is probably getting a little bit more the American version of their parents versus the Desi version that was kind of like still figuring out the new country at that time.
But I think what you're saying, like Desi versus American, I want to say Desi, our version of Desi is American. So we don't want to differentiate. American isn't something different that's different than us. We are Americans.
But coming to a different country, it's a different
for
place that
example,
you're coming
our
to, different ways of doing
our
things.
kids grew up here. They have Desi culture, but they are Americans. So I think...
But
I'm talking about the culture. Okay, let's...
But what is an American culture?
Well,
There
let's
is
talk
no
about
such
that
thing.
terminology.
Yeah.
I'm talking about American culture.
There's no such thing.
Well, whatever the primary American culture is,
mainstream.
which is the American mainstream, not the Indian mainstream.
So you are saying non-Desi. Because American culture, there is no
Well, it's
such
not
thing.
Italian, is it?
There's no such thing.
No,
There is such a thing.
You can call
could
it
be.
culture or whatever, like that mix of different groups that exists in what we call America, to me is American culture. So
That's
a little
right.
bit the fact that we order pizza, that's a
Right.
very American culture thing.
Right,
You
right.
might not see that happening in some other
Some of-
countries. And
Okay,
they'll
let's
say,
let's use an example of dating.
Yeah.
Okay. People who come from India, and I'm not talking about like current. Let's
But
go
I'm
back
not
a few
talking
years.
about
Allow
people
me to
coming from
finish.
India. I'm saying Desi culture
but
here.
I don't want to struggle over
words.
terminology. I want to talk about the concept. Okay. The concept is that in my household, for instance, I am probably more American.
How?
I think less in terms of like, I don't even watch Desi movies these days. I can't
I
remember
don't either. But how do you differentiate?
I think there's a component. So I even see that within families, right? So for example, if we look at our parents, right? How our parents, when we just come from India to our parents now, right? If you look at dad, right? He's taken on more of that, if you want to call it umbrella American culture, or what it is that how we live here versus how we live in India, because he's a lot more open-minded. The other day, he's like, Upma, order pizza. I don't want Desi food. I want pizza today. Like that's because we sometimes don't give them the credit that when they came here, they were in their 40s. They were younger than like what I am today when I think about it. So they have also evolved, and they've also taken on an aspect of non-Desi
It's not just
culture.
about food. It's about the lifestyle.
Yeah, the lifestyle.
You're coming into a system that's running differently than how it was when it was in India, right? So let's talk about things like, for instance, let's just use a very easy topic, which is dating, okay? Kids going out. Kids going, I'm calling it kids, but let's say 16, 17-year-olds, right? That is a very common American culture, regardless of what their ethnicity is, American culture, right? But a Desi parent will have a hard time understanding that. Some of the elder,
Will have a struggle with
offsprings,
that. Yeah.
elder offsprings may even be okay with, okay, well, I just can't date. That's it, right? They accept it. The younger person that's grown up in the more in America, in the American culture,
Yeah.
they would want to push those limits more.
Yeah.
And then there's a struggle and there's a frustration. So the frustration is that the parents are saying, well, the elders didn't do it. That was fine, right? But the elders were probably a little bit more influenced by that Desi culture, had a little bit more dose of it
Yeah, I
than
think
the younger person who came into that culture and had more dose of the American culture and didn't necessarily adapt too much to the Desi culture. That doesn't mean that they don't know who Amitabh Bachchan is, but it's just a little bit less prevalent in their lifestyle.
That
Which is okay.
no, that I understand. I don't. I'm not. I'm not. That is clear. That's clear. What I'm having as an, I guess, English teacher or ethnic studies professor or whatever, my issue is people who, us living here, right? We've been here for 40 years now. We belong to the Desi community. And I've told this to other people also. We can't say, oh, us and those American people.
But you just did. You said us belonging to the Desi culture.
Right. But
you already did the us.
Which means, hold on, which means Desi is also what makes American. Chinese is also what makes American. Italian is also American culture. Isn't.
But that's where we're not seeing eye to eye. What we're not seeing eye to eye is I'm saying that there is an Indian culture in that Desi culture, whether you want to call it whatever you know what Desi is,
And
right? I don't need to explain to you what Desi is, which is everything we talked about earlier: the food, the dress, the religion, everything that plays into it. But then there's this prevalent when you go to school, right? When you go to school, what you get exposed to, that's your mainstream culture, right? The sports you get exposed to, you're not playing cricket. You're playing football,
but Desi
and baseball, and
Desi doesn't mean cricket. Desi means the way I'm living here right now. For me, that is my American culture. Whether I call it Desi American, whether I call
would
it
an American person, non-Desi person, look at you and say, "Oh yeah, go on."
That's the idea of that's where we say marginalization and discrimination. That they should not look at you as you're not American. That's my whole argument here. So that's where discrimination comes in.
Well, you are correct in thinking so far deep into it, but I'm talking about a household. I'm talking about a kid growing up.
Right.
That kid is not thinking, am I, they're going to say like, look, mom and dad, it's Friday night. There's a prom. I want to go. Right.
But that's
and
actually
they
not
come
a
to their
very-
parents and their parents are going to say, no, we don't do that in our culture. They do it. Sorry, that's how parents are going to see it. They do it. That's outside influence. I don't want you to maybe even hang out with those kids.
But that's what I'm
I
saying.
don't want
Those
you to get
parents,
exposed to that.
what those parents, when we say they do it, that's what, in my opinion, in my household with my kids, I'm trying to combat that language that words matter. If I say we don't do it, they do it, all of a sudden I'm saying we are different. But I'm saying, no, we are, consider yourself mainstream. You can be just as mainstream as, and actually I read that somewhere that part of the reason why Sikhs always, or particularly Sikhs, let's say, are, they succeed. It's because we are a minority who thinks like a majority. We have this psychology. We don't consider ourselves like
We
on
are
these
talking
sidelines.
about two different things here.
We are, but that's where my mind is
because what
going.
I'm talking about is forget everything. Forget the terminology for a second.
Obviously there are differences.
No, hold on. You got to get out of the terminology. I am not.
No, I can't get out of terminology.
Well, I am. So I am. You don't have to. I am.
But you
What I'm
stated
saying-
your point of view. I like to.
What I'm saying is that the dose of how we'll use the word Americanized, because I think traditionally we've just
Call
used
it
the word
Americanized.
Americanized,
We
right?
did.
How Americanized is that child? Every child is going to be a little bit different. Every child is going to have a little different dose of it. And I think that's very important for families to keep in mind. That's very important for siblings to keep in mind with each other, and also even for your children, like for parents to keep in mind. And individuals in general, even when you meet somebody who's was born here, maybe has a little bit of a different leaning and attraction to Desi things than someone who came maybe 10 years ago, right? So there's going to be a little bit of a difference.
I think if I go to terminology, I think we are talking about two different things. I'm talking about, I'm okay to say, okay, there's the, like the Desi versus Western values. America is a nation. So I think that's where my trouble is when we conflate culture with a name of a country. Okay. So when I say American culture, America is a country. It's made up of many cultures. We can say, yes, we differentiate. Obviously, we differentiate from, somebody who's from a non-Desi culture. Yes, there are differences. Some may be more influenced, some may be less influenced. But I'm really trying to combat every single day that just because there are differences, that doesn't mean your difference is American and my difference is not. That's what I'm trying to combat.
There is a mainstream what we call American culture, okay? And this is mainstream. If you think about, call it Hollywood culture, just like in India, there's the Bollywood culture, okay?
You can call it Hollywood culture.
It's the mainstream American culture. And when someone comes from India, the day one, let's say they come from India, okay? They're like, you say, okay, well, in high school, there's freshman, there's junior, there's, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. They're like, I have no idea what you're talking about. In fact, you can go to England and you say the same thing. They're like, I have no idea what you're talking about, okay? You talk about football. What we call football, they call soccer. What we call soccer, they call football. What we call football, they don't play that game, okay?
They play rugby.
So there is that American culture, the mainstream American culture. It's not necessarily a Western culture. Western, you can have Western values, but there's
and
a
I think
Western
I was talking
culture.
about values because you were mentioning values like dating, etc.
There is definitely something called, in my mind, American culture.
I mean,
because
if
you talk to someone from another English-speaking country like England or Ireland, they are also like, wait a minute, when they move here, they also have to adapt to what we call American culture. They don't have prom. We have prom. There are things like,
but
I
there's
can name
also like
100
Californian
things.
culture. You could have a New York culture like that.
But
at
I
the
think
same time,
by doing that, you're playing down the point
American-
that
yeah.
I'm making.
No, the point is, I get that.
The point is that everyone is different. That there's no one type of, when people say, having a balance of East and West, that balance is different for each individual.
Sure.
Yeah, and to Kavita's point, I think about this actually a lot. For some reason, this one thing, that is, when you came here, okay? So let's say our family came here 40 plus years ago. When I meet another family or a friend who was there at that time, or somebody who came here 40 plus years ago from India, we have this perfect combination of je ne sais quoi.
We do.
Okay? Because we saw India at certain time, we saw America at certain time. We grew up here in the 80s and how the culture was at that time. What cartoons we were watching, the Saturday morning cartoons, watching reruns
She-Ra.
of Brady Bunch or certain cartoons like She-Ra, He-Man. We can Transformers, like we can just get into a conversation and it's like meeting a long lost friend. Whereas someone who came here, let's say 20 years ago, when they meet another person who came here 20 years ago, because they experienced India, 80s and 90s in India, and then they experienced 2000s coming here and struggling. So they have that perfect combination of that je ne sais quoi, and they will be attracted towards each other and understand each other in a certain way. Also, in addition to that, you came here as a kid. If you came here in elementary school, like you did, versus junior high, like I did, or high school, you have certain experiences that happen because of that time that you spent in America, versus someone who's born here might have a completely different experience. So all of that makes, there's so many unique little things.
There's complexities.
Complexity, and it adds to who we are as people.
Yeah.
So I agree with Kavita that I think there is, and if we want to say it's for the ease of, and I'm not going to wordsmith here and try to think, for the ease of conversation, I'll call it Americanization. Okay, the amount of Americanization,
or I would call it
have,
acculturation.
whatever.
Right.
And if you want to say the amount of Indianization that you have, okay, because that's also culture, right? So amount of Indianization you have, it makes you a unique individual. And Kavita, that's the point. I think you were trying to make some kind of a point about that. Like the kids who come here when they're younger, they are essentially more Americanized. And it doesn't matter if someone came here when they were 20, and it doesn't matter now they've been here 40 years, like our dad, let's say, use him as an example. He came here when he was, let's say, about 40. And even though he's been here 40 years now, he's an 80 plus man. If someone came here as a 7 and only has been here 10 years, that person's going to be more Americanized just by the virtue of the fact that
That's all they've
person,
seen.
their life experience included more America,
But
growing
isn't
up
it-
in America
but isn't-
versus India.
But I also want to explore this other piece, which is I have seen kids who are born and raised here who are more in tune with they see values. I don't want to say culture. Let's go to values. They see values than somebody who just comes. Even today, they just landed. And I hear them like, where are your Desi values? Our Desi values are not the same. So
Depends
they
on your
could be,
parents.
they come and they're like, I don't know how to, I only speak English because my parents only taught me English. I think we have to get rid of this myth that the longer you've been here, the more more influenced you are by non-Desi culture. It's people who are coming here now, they are rejecting their Desi culture than actually the kids who've
I
been
don't
here.
think that's the case.
I don't think
I
so
don't
either.
think that's
That is
the
the case.
case. So
I'll tell
if
you an
somebody
okay,
somebody
I'm gonna-
came to
yeah.
let's say the United States now and rejects English or rejects Hindi or Punjabi or what it may be. That's not that it's an American value that they have. It is a very Desi value in a way. It's that
that's
dark
become the
Desi
Desi
value
value.
that nobody ever wants to talk about, which is nose up in the air and look down at everything else.
Which
and
means
unfortunately,
colonially,
It's a colonial
you're
value.
internally,
Yeah.
it's an internal
Internal
bias.
bias.
when they
that
do
you're carrying.
that, they love their status quo. They love having disdain for the people who are, below them, and in their eyes, that's what is it, Hindi medium, right?
Yeah, yeah,
and they're the
the love
English
for
It's
medium.
like they're less than.
Yeah.
They're looking at other people as less than.
I agree. I think that's a really interesting
That's
angle.
the dark Desi.
Yeah, that's a dark
culture.
It
Desi.
is.
Yeah.
I agree
Dark
with
Desi
that.
values.
Yeah.
And
So
I
just
even
because-
think they might think they have Desi values. There are some who might just came. They might think they have Desi values, but they actually don't know those values. There are those people too. Because I remember the other day, my son who was born here, he's only been to India like twice for like altogether 3 weeks. Twice altogether 3 weeks. He said he saw I was a Punjabi person, so he said Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh, and the person started laughing. He's like, "Oh, are you joking?" Right?
What was that?
Somebody who just came
In
from
India or-
You're
Oh,
kidding
yeah.
me.
And Manshan was so confused. So to me, these kids are more in
different,
tune with their values than some of those people that the reason I'm saying that is because it's a personal experience. They don't know those. They actually think.
But that's not a
But
Desi value.
I have
though.
an issue with what is Desi value and what is
But
American.
yeah.
These are not Desi
Desi
or
value,
American.
yeah.
These are just values, like good traits versus bad
Yeah.
traits.
no,
Good
that's
traits is
obviously positive
Right.
versus negative, stupid
yeah, I
versus
wouldn't-
smart.
it's not really Desi
That's
value
not
versus
Desi value,
or
though.
Eastern
what I
values
meant to
versus
say,
Western values.
what I meant to say is, if they think, but they pretend like they are these sanskari Indian people who just came from India and they're gonna do, their puja or their go to Gurdwara or whatever. But I think it has to do with the darkness of the character that you're talking about, that they actually look down upon them. It's an internalized racism that they carry
But
with them.
that's not a Desi versus non-Desi value. All Desi values are not positive, period. All non-Desi values
But I'm
are
talking
not
about
negative.
the positive Desi values. They don't want to claim
we can
them.
just call it positive values.
Yeah, you
They
can't-
don't. Yeah,
there's no
they
such
don't.
thing.
They don't want. These people don't want to
But a
claim
lot
them.
of it is that internalized kind of classism that India has. I
Yeah.
actually call that Desi value.
Maybe I could
someone who
call
co-
that a Desi
I've seen
value.
it because you go to India and we all came from India, so I'm not necessarily removing myself from it. I'm just saying that in India, there is classism. And it is
There is.
very,
It's
very...
been there for many years.
And there's classism here too. But in India, it's more pronounced and it's more obvious and it's more accepted and it's more like at your face.
Yeah.
Okay. So when someone comes here and they say, "Oh, I don't speak Hindi, I don't speak Punjabi," that is classism. Because in India, who speaks Punjabi? Who speaks Hindi?
There's the lower socioeconomic class.
Exactly, because that's our mother tongue. That's given to us at birth. So you didn't have to go get it from a fancy school. So another thing that I hear, like, let's just talk about it while this is an interesting topic, is who's convent educated.
Yeah.
You hear that a lot in India. Like that, there's been movies made about it. English medium, English, right? So
Best movie on that topic was Jojita Vai Sikandar. That was hilarious, by the way.
I have to see that movie again. That was a great movie. But who's convent educated? And people, to this day, they are like 60, 70-year-old and they'll say, yeah, I'm convent educated.
Yeah,
You're
like who cares?
Are you seriously talking about your elementary school?
So you were trained in a colonial mindset. Thank you. That's
went
all
to a
I hear from
convent,
you.
So your parents strategically made a move, okay, to be, let's say if they're Christian, more power to them, be convent educated because, hey, you're learning about your religion there. That's your religious school. But if you're Sikh or Hindu or non-Christian, let's say you're Jain or you're Buddhist or whatever you are, you choose to send your kid to a convent school, a Catholic convent, to be educated. And then at the end of this, you expect that this kid will not be influenced by that. You're kidding yourself, right?
I've seen families.
Yeah.
I met a family here who's like, yeah, and they live in a like rich, affluent area. So public school is gonna be amazing.
Yeah.
Right. But they're like, no, we took our kids out and we're sending them to Saint
Private
something.
school. Yeah.
And I'm just like, I looking at them, I'm going,
So
you're not
that's
very
Indian
smart
value.
people.
No, they still have the same
That's
mentality.
the
I was
That
just
is
gonna
the
say
Desi
that.
value, which
Yeah.
we need
I was
to.
just going to
dark
say that they
Desi.
even come
The dark
here.
Desi value.
The parents that are here now, they want to still send their kids to
To a
the
private
convent school that they
because
can find.
they don't realize that
It's not even private. They want
but
to send them to Catholic school.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
So kid is like praying to, somebody all day long. And then they come home and they're like, do this puja.
You're like, wait a minute, what? The kid's like, what? You're confusing me so much. But there is dark Desi. And I think I like that this topic has come up because we have this tendency to think all Desi things are positive. All Western things are negative. And
No.
that is, it's so, that whole idea is so wrong.
So far from
because
the
there's
truth.
positive and negative things about Desi culture and positive and negative things about Western or even American culture. American culture does have less classism in the culture itself compared to even English culture. If you go to England, there's a lot of like that poshness that comes with like, whatever your family, like, can you trace your family background
Yeah.
to the last, like to the, through dark ages? Okay.
Yeah.
Great. You're upper class. If you can't do that, if you don't remember what your great-grandfather's name was, and there's not like some castle and museum dedicated to them, you're nobody. We don't have that in America. You can turn around and you can be a success and you can make a name for yourself. That's the beauty of this new world that we live in, right? So I think when someone comes from India, they might as well come from England because a lot of the Indian values are those English values.
They're copied, they're replicated.
So when they come here and they talk about like what school I went to in elementary school, right? I right away go, okay, they're still carrying on their English values and that high and mighty like casteism.
And
which
I think
exists
those
in
English
India.
values from like 1950s, probably.
No, these are
I
from
don't know
before.
how prevalent they
that
are
too.
like right now.
No, they
but-
are. They are very much prevalent because if you go to England, classism still exists.
Based
And there
on
is-
the accents and
Yes,
where-
based
what
on your
country
accent,
or
your
what
language.
background, yeah.
Because you do have like that, what do they call it? Like elite English accent versus accent from like Birmingham or something, which nobody likes for some reason. I don't know why.
Because
we don't
there's
know.
a lot of minorities that
minorities
live
there,
there.
whatever.
That's
yeah,
why.
in it. Yeah. So there is beauty, and I'm going to say that loud and clear. There is so much beauty in what I consider American culture. And that's why someone like me who came from India as a child loved it here. I saw it because it was like perfect. I was tired of the elitism in India. We were from, not from a rich
No,
family, not
but
from
we did sense that there was elitism and caste
in India,
classism.
in India,
Absolutely.
And when we came here and we were accepted so wholeheartedly by our teachers, by the school
Neighbors.
system here, by the neighbors, by
Grocery store clerks.
So welcoming, so beautiful.
Yeah.
I love the 1980s because of it. But it was
There was
that
a lot of
the-
racism in 1980s, but
There
but,
was,
but, but we came to California. I think that made a difference as well.
Yes.
But it's what I liked. I don't want to dwell on the negative necessarily when I'm trying to just say that the experience from India to here, and there's negative everywhere. Obviously, there's no perfection. That would be heaven, right? But that isn't here. There was so much beauty in the way, at least speaking about my experience, that I was accepted. Does that mean I didn't get called names for being Indian? Walking down the street, you got called names. But we did too in India, So it wasn't, that part wasn't different.
It was like, okay, well, they
Not
called us
this
name
name,
there,
but
now
that's
they call
this
us name here.
But
yeah.
but the beauty was there. The way the teachers, I loved all my teachers when I moved here, and in India the teachers were harsh. They were heartless.
it was
in
a
lot of
different
ways.
schooling style.
Yeah,
But I think-
here the schooling system here was very welcoming, very accepting.
Yeah.
And so I am proud of some of the Americanization that exists and that has existed, and our family has gone through.
Do you remember our experiences when we first came to the United States?
Yes. Like it was yesterday. I remember they've been imprinted in our hearts and minds. And some of those experiences were just so funny. When I think back now, I'm like, oh my God, did that actually happen? If I tell those stories, it sounds like I took something out of a sitcom. Because they don't sound like real experience. They sound like some comic wrote them.
That's so true.
Do you remember this one time when we lived in, we'd just come maybe a month before, and we lived in this one little one-bedroom apartment in Doherty. And mom was like, I don't even know. Mom and dad were making money in whatever way they could, in small way, as immigrants do. I think
Making
mommy
money.
was sewing suits or something. Some ladies would be kind enough to give her some work. So they had some money. So dad's like, as per usual, dad used to do that when we were growing up too. He's like, let's go get ice cream. So all of us walked to an Altadena dairy down the street. Do you remember that, Benita? Probably. I don't know if you remember.
I have a slight recollection of that.
So we walked to that drive-through Altadena dairy, and we go there, and Daddy picks up kind of a medium container of ice cream. Okay, we come home. We're all very happy because it looked like an ice cream container. We come home. We open it. It was strawberry ice cream. We thought. We open it, and it's yogurt. And it's yogurt. So here we are. We're like,
What a disappointment.
for kids is like the worst disappointment.
I don't remember this.
Do you remember
I
this?
remember this, yeah.
So the redemption was because it was one of those fruits at the bottom because it said strawberry, and we're like, strawberry means ice cream. So we dig up and we kind of mix it, and mommy and daddy try to put a kind of a positive spin on it, but essentially we ended up with yogurt, and we were not happy.
No.
Because
when I still remember when he was getting it, we were all like
excited,
staring at the tub that we're gonna go home and have ice cream.
And daddy too had built it up it's like, let's go get ice cream,
Right.
And that was our thing to do growing up for any occasion. I remember when our brother was born, Amman. What did daddy do? We went to eat ice cream. You and I.
Manjeet ice cream.
Manjeet ice cream. Bharat Nagar Chowk.
Yeah. I got the full bowl and you got to share with
I
dad.
got to share with dad. I still remember just being carried, and then it was me and dad sharing an ice cream, and Benita
I got
was
my
right.
own bowl
you
of
got your
ice
own
cream.
bowl.
Yeah.
So ice cream was important to us.
It's funny because I think that the whole ice cream associated with celebration has left an imprint on me. So when I was working on my doctorate, every time my chapter would get approved, I would treat myself to a big giant bowl of Cold Stone ice cream.
I love that.
And my chair even knew that. He would say, now you're allowed to go have your ice cream because I'm going to approve this today. So he even knew that was my thing, that I needed to go celebrate, you know. So ice cream, I think we associated with celebration.
Yeah.
And then, but along the same lines of funny things happening, I thought, since I'm the older one, my dad said, okay, let's order pizza. And I'm like, okay, I know how to order pizza. So I
Was that our first pizza that we ordered?
That was our first pizza we ordered. And that was in Ontario, in that little apartment, which was almost like a house, like a little house, the way it was built.
It was pretty spacious.
It was very cute.
It was spacious, and it felt like you were living in a house, in a tiny
like
house.
a little condo. Yeah.
It was like a cottage style.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, I know how to do this. So I pick up the phone, and we had those big old phones at that time.
And phone books.
And they were, connected to the cord. Mm-hmm. So I check, and I'm like, okay, Pizza Hut. I think it was Pizza Hut, maybe. And I dial, and I still remember, it was a guy who answered, and like, I would like to order pizza. And he's like, okay, these are the toppings. And I'm thinking, all of them sound very like I've heard them before. Anchovies is something I've never heard of. And I said, okay, how about anchovies? And I think he must have said, are you sure? I'm like, yes, anchovies. Like, we love anchovies, Must have sounded excited. But anyway, the pizza was delivered at home, and I felt very successful because I'm the one who ordered it, and it was delivered, and the project was successful. And so I take a piece. I think I was probably the first one to take a slice. I take a slice out, and I bite in it, and it's so salty, like I ate a spoonful of salt. And here I am, I did not understand what anchovies were. So I called back Pizza Hut. I'm like, this is your order is wrong. There's just so much salt in it. And the guy goes, well, what was your order? What did you order? I said, anchovies. He goes, yeah, that's how they taste. I'm like, what? Why does it have to be so salty? And he goes, that's what the fish tastes.
That's what the fish tastes
I'm like, what? It's a fish? And he goes, yes, anchovies are a fish. And then I stare at the pizza. After he said that, I'm looking at the pizza. I'm like, those little teeny tiny things are all dead creatures on my pizza.
Full-blown little fish.
Full-blown little fish. And
I remember this very clearly, too.
They looked like little black worms on the pizza. Oh, I thought it was just something else. I did not know. So anyway, he was nice enough that he said, it's okay. I understand you didn't know. I'm going to send you another pizza. What would you like? And that was, that tells you like how, when we talked about people being welcoming, this guy, whoever he was working at Pizza Hut, understood like she just didn't know what anchovies were. So it's okay. I'm going to send her another pizza.
Yeah, that would not happen these days. I feel like those were different times.
Those are different times.
The thing with anchovies was that in case, I remember as a child, and what's funny is I remember you ordering that
You
pizza.
Remember that too.
Yeah. It's like
remember
embedded. And I remember, I was like,
Yeah.
she's ordering anchovies. I've only heard people in like TV shows talk about anchovies.
It's almost like some sort of exquisite cuisine, right?
I was like, what is this
Curiosity.
yummy anchovies thing that everybody puts on their pizza? So I was so excited that you decided to order anchovies that day. But speaking of pizza, we freaking love pizza. And we looked for it everywhere, even places where we weren't supposed to find it. So do you remember this time we pulled up to, it was Taco Bell.
Yes, I remember that.
We did not know Taco Bell was that famous. We just saw a drive-thru and we went there. And we pull up to the drive-thru. We pull up to the window, get ready to order. And Dad's like, what do you guys want? And we're like, pizza, right? Pizza. And so my dad goes, pizza. And the lady's like,
Mexican.
Well, first of all, she was like, what is that, right? And he's like, and then we're like, pizza. That thing, it's round and it's got cheese on it.
As P-I-Z-Z.
And she's like, oh, we don't have that here, but we've got something close enough. We're going to give you Mexican pizza. And so we came home, we looked at it, we're like, what the heck is this?
And it was tiny
but it was so
compared
good.
It was so good.
Did we order one or did we order two?
I think we ordered two. And so we had two little Mexican pizzas that for the whole family because we thought we ordered two pizzas.
Two pizzas.
Mom probably made roti that night.
Probably she did. Probably she did.
Yeah.
But I remember pulling up, we're all going, car full of kids, 4 of us and parents, and we're all going, pizza.
Yeah. No, I
Good
do remember
times.
that. There were a lot of these kind of things that were like, you can call them mistakes, but now looking back, at that time you're like, oh my God, like, and you're a little bit embarrassed to like
Right.
what, but looking back now, they're kind of like fond memories. They've turned into fond memories because
Right.
these are our stories.
I don't know if they were even embarrassing even at that time because it was just like you're just trying to figure things out as you
It
go along.
depends on how old you were. For some of us who were a
you were a
little bit
teenager,
older,
yes.
it was embarrassing.
It was embarrassing, yeah.
For me, it was embarrassing. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe.
Yeah.
You know the funny story about embarrassing? So when I worked at, my first job was at El Pollo Loco. Okay. So I would work the drive-through once in a while. So I think it was really funny. Even though I worked the drive-through, so I was literally assigned to the drive-through, I had never gone through the drive-through. So I'm actually taking orders on the drive-through. I know so most people wouldn't know, they would know how to go through the drive-through. They wouldn't know what's going on to the other side in the restaurant itself. How are people taking the orders? So before I ever went through the drive-through, I actually worked on the drive-through. And so the first time actually going through the drive-through was much later than that.
Yeah. You were like, whoa, now I feel like
Now
a
I
queen.
know what those people felt like
Yeah.
because I didn't know how to do that.
Right.
You were one of the pioneers of
Yes.
El Pollo Loco.
I
Like
was
when they
one of the
first started.
Exactly. I should get I don't know. I feel like I should get some kind of like royalty or something.
It was
from
like a
El
very
Pollo Loco.
trendy job. Like
Yeah.
it's like when Starbucks first came out and you became a barista. You
I
started
was
working
one
at
of
El
the
Pollo
first.
Loco.
Yeah, and we had to wear these cowboy hats.
Oh, gosh. Really?
Yeah,
I don't
you
remember that.
So, I mean, imagine you're a teenager. Again, I was 15, 16-year-old when I had that job. And to go to work, you had to wear jeans. You had to wear this like button-down shirt, like brown button-down shirt.
Almost like a cowgirl.
Like a cowgirl. And then you had to wear these cowboy hats. That was part of my uniform.
Yeah, that was so cute. I remember
I
those
don't
hats. I
remember the
really
hat.
liked them.
Yeah, it was a full
Did they discontinue them while you were there, or was it sometime after?
I think it was after, and I think they figured out how impractical those hats were. As they were like, imagine you're trying to work, and then you wear these
I just remember like us dropping you off and picking you up, kind of a thing.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then
had
your
a lot of odd
manager
jobs.
was
I had a lot of odd
your
jobs.
manager was Joanne, I believe.
She wasn't my manager. She was a coworker that I didn't like,
Okay.
and so she didn't like me, and I didn't like her.
was that El Pollo Loco or was it
that was
Taco
El Pollo
Bell?
Loco.
El Pollo.
That was El
Because you
Pollo
would
Loco.
come home and complain about Joanne.
I complained about Joanne all the time. You still remember?
No, Taco Bell was
It was more like
Teresa.
Joanne.
Taco Bell was
Teresa.
Teresa, and Teresa
Okay.
was my
Wait, you
best
worked
friend's-
at Taco Bell?
You don't remember? I remember
You
that.
don't remember me working at Taco Bell?
No.
I had so many odd jobs. Yeah, I worked at Taco Bell. It was a great job. I can wrap a burrito really well. So that's
And
my,
you said Mexican pizzas are a pain to build.
they're a pain to make. Yeah,
Right.
they were a pain to make. Yeah.
And that's why I think even Taco Bell tried to discontinue it for a bit. But, there was an outcry from all the Desi community.
Desi community loves.
Where
There's
is
like
Mexican
there's
pizza?
there's like a list of people like that. Thousands of people signed it,
Yeah.
petitioned to
Oh
bring
my
back
gosh.
the
No,
Mexican
because
pizza.
of the rice and beans. I mean, come
Yeah.
on, Rajma Chawal.
Rajma chawal.
Okay, when you order the Mexican pizza now, because it's not the same as it was when we were little,
Yeah.
order everything double.
Okay.
Everything
Because-
double. It's worth it. It tastes so much better. It tastes like the
Can you
pizza we
even
used
do
to
that?
have.
But how
many
do you
years
how do
ago.
you
I
order it? Do you say like I need everything double?
Yes, ma'am.
Everything
Okay.
double.
Do you know McDonald's? This is just off topic. If you go through McDonald's drive-through for coffee, even if you're not a senior citizen, just say I need senior coffee. It's just a little bit smaller and it costs less. They're not gonna ask for ID, like how old you are.
I don't know why I'm like.
I wish they would.
I'm fascinated by that fact. Thank you for sharing that.
And I just found out, and that's another thing. Like you go through drive-through, and I was just like, I would like. I think I said small coffee, and he
They're
heard
like, "Oh,
senior
senior."
coffee. He's like, "Would you? Did you want a senior coffee?" I'm like, "What's that?" He goes, "It just cost a little bit less? And I'm like, yes. So when I went there, it was just slightly smaller because who finishes coffee ever in their
those
cup?
giant
So
cups of
you're
coffee.
okay with the
Yeah.
smaller coffee and it costs less. And so now I just say I need senior coffee.
Okay, let me ask you this. When the first time that happened, when you pulled up and you realized they're going to see you and you're not senior, did you have to pretend your knees hurt? Your joints are aching?
Put on your glasses. Like
I was like, I would like my senior coffee.
I just came from
Here's
my
my
plastic surgeon. I look young because I go to the plastic surgeon.
Yeah,
It's
I
like
just had this
Botox.
procedure done.
But I guess, I mean, look, are you allowed to order the kids menu too?
Yeah,
because
you can.
sometimes you just want a little bit. Like
You
I know
can.
so many
Maybe
times.
you're
get a Happy
ordering it
Meal.
for somebody
Yeah.
else. Yeah.
Because you could be getting
that's
it for
true.
your kid.
That's true.
You know what? Fun fact, and this is maybe it's the Indian. I'm not sure, but I used to go to IHOP and get their kids meal. I used to love their. They had fish, rice, and something. Kids meal. It was like $4, $5.
Yeah.
And I would feel so guilty every time I went there. I'm like, yeah, I just take food for my.
So you didn't sit there and eat it though.
No, I got it to go.
My 5-year-old, who I'm picking up from the preschool pretty
I think
soon.
there was a little asterisk says kids meals for kids.
I think they know you're lying when you start going into lengthy explanations. Because if you were, you'd be like, yeah, I'm here, pick it up, all right, bye. You're not going to sit
Yeah.
there and be like, this is for my child. I am picking her up from preschool.
Yeah,
The
this is for my
explanation.
child. Yeah.
Well, I mean, off of what you were saying, how you were at Taco Bell and El Pollo Loco, I was at Kmart.
Oh, I
If you remember
that.
Kmart.
Of course.
So I was a
The blue
cashier.
light special, right?
Yeah.
That's what they call it. Yeah.
Cashier. I still found my badge the other day. It said Kmart beneath the.
Oh my God, you should literally keep that forever.
I
Frame
was
it.
such a bad employee
Okay.
because it was right next to Dad's store, and so I was like, when you're a teenager, like 17-year-old, you're not really loyal to your job, and plus,
Nor you should
plus
be.
Kmart-
Nor
you should expect it.
You
plus,
shouldn't
why
be.
would you be loyal to like
Yeah.
that?
You're
It was like a
teenager.
summer
Yeah.
job, right?
Yeah.
Summer job. It was enough for me to pay my contribution for the financial aid, right? So it was like the parent contribution, but I would work for it so that Dad didn't have to pay. And I remember working at Kmart, and I would just I would go there, work. If my shift is like 4 hours, I was like, this is so boring, especially when somebody's not coming. There's no customers. I'd be like, this is way too boring. Like, how many things can I wipe and dust? It's clean. My aisle is now super clean. There's nothing. And then I would be like, oh, my eye is hurting.
Some random body part is hurting.
Yeah,
Some random.
And then the manager would be like, are you okay? Well, I wear contact lenses, and I think my contact lenses is like, it's too dry. I need to go put like some drops in there. And then I would just go to Dad's store, and then I would just call it a day. So I was like just one little summer, I must have like worked only half the time. And they were like, why did we hire her, right? I made a good friend, another cashier. So I actually went to her apartment. She lived close by with her grandmother. And then I remember her saying, yeah, we actually cook snake also.
What?
Yeah, so that was part of their diet.
Do you remember her background? Like, who cooks snake?
I think they might have been from another part of United States.
Okay.
And so they, the snake was part of the diet. And like, I'm sitting there, and the apartment was very clean. It was very nice. She was a very nice young lady, right? But I was just like, whoa, people eat snake. So that was another kind of a cultural shock type of a thing. Because we were still relatively new in America when I started going to college.
Yeah. So
We had just been there for like maybe 2 years.
Yeah.
So
We
I
were
was still trying
learning.
to get to know people, observing their ways, etc. So.
Speaking of observing the ways, you remember, Kavita, I don't know if you remember, but maybe Benita, you remember that we were going to go for a doctor's appointment. Maybe we need to get some injections or something, some vaccinations. And our aunt had told us, so there were a few instructions that our family members who were already living here had given us. One of the instructions was that in America, when you see someone walking towards you, you smile and you say like, good morning or
Yes,
hello. Do
I
you
remember that. Yes.
Do you remember that? And I was like, oh, okay. And that's so weird.
We
like,
took it
that's
so literally.
Okay, but that's funny because do you remember when we went on vacation to Paris?
Yeah.
Like if you watch those Rick Steves videos,
Yeah.
like it was told over and over again whenever you approach somebody, say, bonjour, parlez-vous anglais, like, and smile and be very nice. And we did that.
Yeah.
So, good on our family to tell us how to,
These
sort
are
of
the things that I think
the
it's
proper
like-
way of greeting.
Right.
Yeah, because there are those cultural, like micro things, I don't know what you want to call it, micro behaviors that people sometimes forget that there is a difference on how you function in the society. And one of the ways was in America, Americans tend to be, or Californians, I want to be careful. I think this is a very California thing. Californians tend to be very friendly. So in order to be accepted in California as a normal person and not like a stuck up, you have to be very friendly. So we were told
Yeah, we
that
were
by
like, good
Iran.
morning, how are you?
Yeah, we probably overdid it. There's
And she's like, I'm just here to give you a shot. Like, how's your day going?
our cousins who are living here already told us, like, when you go to school, those are little things. Like,
Yeah.
when you go to school, if you have to go to the bathroom, you don't have to, like, raise your hand. You can or if the teacher asks you a question, you can answer it sitting down. You don't stand up.
You don't have to stand
You
up.
don't have to stand up.
Yeah.
So we were probably saved from, like,
Some of the
Some
awkward
embarrassment.
moments. Yeah.
Do you remember that they introduced us? It was summer vacation. They introduced us to all these soap operas.
Yes.
They opened up
General
the
Hospital.
Hospital.
We watched like starting
thought
from
it was
11
like
o'clock
religion
to
now.
like 2 p.m. When we were kids.
We had
and
to
were so
rush
into
home
it.
to catch an episode of Frisco and yeah.
I loved that age.
General Hospital.
General Hospital.
Yeah.
All my children. There was one.
I still remember there was a
One Life to
Frisco and
Live.
Felicia.
Frisco and
Their
Felicia.
little love story. Everybody loved it.
So it was funny that when I think about our mind at that time, like, you can still relate to it because that was you. So you remember how you think. That when our cousins would tell us something, we took it almost like religion. We'd be like, oh, okay, so now we live in America. We have to watch a soap opera and learn about Frisco
And make sure you listen to Michael Jackson.
Yeah, we have to listen to
Because
Michael Jackson.
and Madonna and Michael Jackson.
Well,
Yeah.
they
Those were the-
told us there's Michael Jackson and Prince have a rivalry.
yeah, we
Yes.
Michael Jackson is the good guy. That's what we were told.
I remember that.
In hindsight, they're all
Because
good.
they were passing out information to us that they also picked up.
because they were
Madonna
also new
versus-
arrivals as
Yeah,
well.
Madonna versus Cyndi Lauper.
Yeah,
do you remember
Cyndi
that? And Madonna was the good one, and
Yeah,
the
the
Cyndi
Cyndi
Lauper
Lauper.
was the evil one. Like good versus evil.
This is just some kid's impression of their life, like
And
they,
the way it was told to us, like, and then
फिर पता है क्या
वो
फिर
दिन
end हो
सो
गया,
गई।
फिर उन्हें- कौन कितने ना सो गए?
I didn't know that. I probably didn't know what that means.
I didn't know what that meant. I'm like,
Oh, the stories, the backstory of the soap operas.
the soap operas.
फिर वो दिन ना सो गए.
Sounds so funny.
I'm like, okay, what's the big deal?
What's the big deal? You had no idea. I bet you they didn't have much idea either.
No, they were translating it from English.
Sorry, we're crying here. We're tearing up here. This is too funny. The early years were like so much fun. I swear
And then,
to
do
God.
you remember we all got chicken pox?
Yes,
All the
at the
cousins
same
at the
time.
same time.
Yeah, this is when we lived in that little apartment in Dorde, and we barely had, between the six of us, family members, we had 4 pillows.
Yeah.
And 4 people had chicken pox.
Yeah.
Right? You, me, Aman. No, 3 of us had chicken pox. You didn't have chicken pox.
I had chicken pox. I
everybody.
think I had it. Maybe like 2 of you guys had it before I did.
But
so
you
there was a
did-
little bit
all
of a.
4 of us got
Yes, we
chicken
did.
pox at that
I
time.
had it.
All 4 of us, and all the
all
kids,
the cousins, all the kids got chicken. Oh my God,
including
everybody.
Because
got
I
chicken
remember
pox.
it was Rancho Cucamonga. He brought
we
it
got
home,
it from him, from a
and then
cousin. Yeah,
it
so,
just
yeah.
spread among all of us.
Through that whole time, we had no TV. So Dad had this one cassette player, and he was playing. I think it was Professor Darshan Singh Ji's
Gurbani
cassette.
Bhai.
It was so good that that's all we needed. Like all
we
I
were
remember is like
listening
kind
to
of being
Kirtan.
loopy and sleeping
It's so
through it.
interesting
And
that we were at that age really listening to Kirtan. I find that fascinating. Like we were doing that.
but I had no idea what I was listening to. So till this, like when I was young, the Shabad Nako Bari Nahi Begana. So Nako Bari, when I'm thinking, oh, remember when in the Gurdwara you go and you wash your feet in that like
in the water,
right? So that's like I'm imagining myself cleaning my feet at the Gurdwara. Like that was Nako Bari.
You were too young, but that's really cute.
Yeah.
That's actually really cute. But it was just a peace that we felt, and of course you're uncomfortable. You have chicken pox. You're uncomfortable. You have nothing. You don't even have bedding. We didn't even have beds.
Yeah.
But we were happy. We were so happy. I'm like, what were we?
We
Like,
were
little
happy because
angels?
we had our own space as a family.
Yeah.
And we had
felt
these
safe.
nice kitchen dishes, finally, a pan, peanut butter, jelly, bread. We just felt like we had everything we needed.
Isn't
And
that
then we had
fascinating?
music. The kirtan reminded us of Ludhiana because that's what used to play in our house there. So when we would listen to it, it was like, oh, my mind is wired. My mind knows what to do with this. Like we were just so, it was connection.
We were, and I think as a family, we were so connected to each other, and we were so like in tuned with each other, our roles and responsibility. And we had very loving parents. We were very lucky because even under the worst circumstances, they were not bickering, fighting, arguing, anything. They were just happy.
And there was
They
no
were just-
depression or sadness.
Yeah, there
it
was
was
no
just like, this is how life is.
Yeah, we're just here. And I think we did at that time have, like, speaking of the Desi community, we did have community around us because we had, some neighbors, some Desi neighbors who were very loving, who were very giving, like Moni auntie and the other, like Dinny's mom and dad. And we had some kids who were our age. What else did we want? We would go to that park across the street and play baseball.
We learned to play baseball.
We learned to play baseball.
Yes. And I remember our cousin was teaching us, like, you just hit this and then you have to just stand there and wait at the base. I'm like, okay, that's easy. We can do that. Yeah. Yeah, it was fun.
Good times. Do you remember at the park? So this is 1980s.
Yeah.
And do you remember at the park, there used to be people walking around with like those big
Boom boxes.
boom boxes. Yeah, that was such another fun time.
Yeah.
Everybody was out and about in the 1980s.
But I think
Even versus the 1990s, people were so much more out and about in the 1980s.
Yeah, 80s definitely had its charm for sure. Do you remember Tinni's mom? I don't know if you remember. Or, I think she took all of us to the library. Do you remember that? She had a hatchback. Okay, this hatchback probably technically could only take 5 people in there. It was all of us. They were like
we sat
9
in the
kids.
back, in the station wagon back. Yeah.
There were like 4 or 5 of us in the back trunk of the car, the station wagon part of the car. And we were all it was like, just keep low, because at that time too, we were breaking the law. And
No,
we
I
all
think
went to the
they said it
library.
was okay.
Really?
Yeah, because we used to wave at the cars behind us.
At that time, it was pretty common.
Yeah.
It was pretty common. And then we all ended up at the library. That was our first ever trip to the library.
I don't remember the trip to the library, but I remember the trips to the Gurdwara, Alhambra Gurdwara, in their little station wagon. Yeah, I remember that.
Because we would all just go together. Yeah.
Do you think people coming to America now have the similar experiences?
I would imagine so. I mean, I think they probably have their own little charming experiences the way we did. Like, depending on their age, I think this is the beauty of childhood. Like, anytime you're anywhere, you make something out of it because you just have such a fascination. You're always learning. You're always seeing something new.
Yeah.
So I'm sure the kids arriving today as we speak, like 20 years from now, will speak about their experiences the same way. Because no matter what you say, India and America are very different. So if you're leaving some place and you're coming to somewhere completely new, you're gonna be fascinated. Can I share one more story? This is funny, and you guys will laugh. I think you will remember. So when we first came to America, we took Japan Airways, and so we had an overnight stay in Tokyo.
Yeah.
In Narita Hospital,
Nikko
Narita.
Hotel. It was a beautiful hotel.
Yeah.
We come from this Ludhiana, like never really traveled.
And this is 1980s Ludhiana, by the way. Like, this is not current Ludhiana, so you have
1980s
to kind of
Ludhiana. Simple
It was
and
actually
beautiful
better.
city. Yeah,
More
in my
open,
opinion,
more
it was
open,
better.
yeah.
It was little less chaotic, and but coming to a place like Tokyo, even today, when you go to Tokyo, people say that it's just a fascinating, futuristic city. And so here we are from Ludhiana to Tokyo. Okay, so we're in the hotel, and we were to order dinner or lunch, something like that. We were ordering food. We'd been given food vouchers by the airline, so we could order. All of us could order our own meals. So we're like, okay. So we're looking at the menu. We don't understand any of it, because this is not just Western food, but this is Japanese food. So we ordered. We're like, oh, simple. We're ordering soup and salad. Okay. So all of us ordered soup and salad. Here comes the salad. Okay. So this is like that Western idea, because this was a
it's like
hotel.
a huge, your meal is the salad.
Basically, it was a bowl of salad. If we in India had a dinner party, the amount of salad you would cut for everybody was given to each one of us kids. So we just had bunch of lettuce in front of us, and we're all looking at each other like, what
do you want us to do with this? Even I had that, and I was like, I don't know, 6 years old or
like
something.
a 6-year-old getting their big bowl of
I
salad.
was like, I don't need it. And
And I just remember we were all looking at each other like, oh, shoot. And we knew we just ordered wrong. Like, this was crazy. And then it was like cream of mushroom soup. Do you remember that?
I remember.
Now imagine someone with an Indian palate of like, masaledar cheejan, sabji, roti, and suddenly you give them cream of mushroom soup. I think we ate maybe a spoonful of it. As a kid, you're anyway pitied. All of the salad, all of the cream of bowls, big bowls full of cream of mushroom soup, all going back. Untouched, pretty much.
But next day we had breakfast there, which was really good.
And
I
their
don't
eggs
remember
were
that.
good.
Yeah, and orange juice.
Do you remember the folded eggs? And by the way, I've spent
don't
my entire life trying to make those eggs full like that, fluffy full that they had.
Yeah, we were
was amazing.
mesmerized by their
It's funny,
breakfast.
before you guys said that, I'd completely forgotten about it. And now I remember that. It was cheese, like a cheese omelet folded over perfectly.
Yeah. I think what was amazing was that for us, everything was like, it's like relearning everything. The tools, the appliances, the food, the everything,
even.
clothing, everything had to be relearned.
Yeah.
And
TV,
so
entertainment.
everything was like brand new. You're picked from one place and you are like, here, you're in a brand new situation. And now learn to live around that. Yeah. And that's what makes good memories. I mean, I was the first one, my mom and dad didn't know how to send, I was the first kid who was sent to college. They didn't know how to send a kid to college. They thought it's going to be, that you just kind of go when it's time to go to college, you go to the college and you say, can I have the application? And you fill it in. And, it's like enrolling in a school.
The way
right?
they do in India, I guess in India to some degree.
They did not know that you're supposed to start, and I didn't know that you're supposed to start applying like before that summer. Like even during your junior year, you start applying. This is like senior year and the summers, now it's summer, and I haven't applied to any college. I remember that. So that was quite a journey, but I gave them I think they got good practice with me. And then when it's your turn, I think everybody knew what to do.
Well, the difference was also because we were so brand new.
We were only here for 2 years when I had to apply.
When it was my turn, I already knew.
Yeah.
I figured it out because I'd done all of my high school starting from the beginning. I was already here. So it was like, and then I had these nerdy friends. I mean, I adore them, and I say that with a lot of love. that they were already on top of it, and I was learning from them. So that helped. So a lot of stuff we learned from our peers, which I think you can't forget the importance of those friends, those early friends that kind of guided us through some of our journey. Do you guys remember when we lived on Nocta Street? So we lived in Ontario. Of course, we could only afford a very I'll say cheap or something that we could affordable apartment, which was in the middle of sort of little
Tough
bit of
part of
chaos.
town.
Yeah. So all our neighbors were, they would do barbecue. They would barbecue and they would play loud music. The music across the street from us, across the little pathway, not street, but a pathway, it was almost 24/7.
Every day, like after work, that's what they did.
They played music and they had barbecue.
And they drank.
Yeah. So one time, my friend Angela came because I used to go to her house, and that was the thing to do in America. You go, and so she once I was like, hey, come to my house. We'll study at my house. So she came after school. She walked with me, and we came to our apartment. And so in our bedroom, we're doing homework, and there's like music going on in the back, right? And she's like, how can you even focus? And I'm like, because I'm
We're so used to the noise.
Are you serious? Like compared to India, where we had all the horns and everything. Even in the 1980s, it was pretty loud. I'm like, what noise?
We didn't know any difference.
Those neighbors were really nice.
They
though.
were
They were such
wonderful.
good people.
We actually couldn't have picked a better apartment. And actually, a few months ago, I was passing by that area, and I actually took a couple of streets to go down and look at Nocta Street, and actually parked my car and walked around that area just to see it.
Yeah.
I went into that apartment.
You actually went inside.
I went inside
apartment?
that. So
that
about,
must have felt so strange.
Like, this is our
just
house.
really
I almost
touched
want to
my
buy
soul.
it. Like, this
Yeah.
is ours.
It was
Yeah.
maybe a few years ago. I had a listing just down the street, and I'm looking at the streets, and I'm like, oh my God. I'm like it's just a block over. And I was like, let me just drive by it. So I drove in, and I'm like, let me just knock on the door. And I knocked on the door. There's a nice lady in there, and I said, ma'am, I know this is I'm kind of showing up at your doorstep out of nowhere, but we used to live here, and here's my business card. So she knew I was legit. May I just see this? And she let me walk around, and it was a very nice place. I didn't go in there and go oh my God, I can't believe we lived here.
No,
I was
it's
oh my God, this is a nice place.
Yeah, it was actually a really
Very
nice
spacious.
place. Yeah.
Yeah. Very tough part of town, but oh well,
But we were okay.
a few gangsters here and there, no big deal. But actually, when our parents, the day our parents actually realized that they didn't realize how bad that part of town was. But the day they felt like, oh, this is turning more unsafe, we're moving out of here. I think we were out of there in a week or so, right? It was real quick.
No,
that they
it
started
was
looking
when
for somewhere else.
What we did was, I was sent to college, right? We were still living in
we were
Nocta.
still in that, yeah.
So when Moni auntie, they bought that condo in Cucamonga. So she said, why don't you, we went to see theirs. It was me, dad, and mom. We went and we drove and we went to see, this is nice. And the people who were the model homes and etc., the companies, the builders, the builders were still there. They had an office there. And we walked in and they're like, yeah, look, this is how it's going to be. And you can just put this deposit down and it can be your place. And I was like, what? And then we walked into this one, and it was so hot that day. We walked into the garage, and it was so cool. And I was like, Dad, just put the deposit. Just put the deposit. This is perfect. We need to get out of there, right? That the Ontario one. And so I was the one who convinced them, like, just deposit, give it. So they're like, okay. So they started filling out the application. And then later they gave the deposit, and then that's how. But I was there trying to convince them, no, do it.
Well,
yeah.
the original idea was to your point, as far as that area being unsafe. We we also wanted a 3-bedroom.
Yes.
We had a 2-bedroom. And so they were looking for apartments. That was actually what that journey was about, to
Exactly.
go see apartments until you guys went in and deposited.
We're like, we
and all
might as
that.
well,
Just bought it,
because
yeah.
you're going to pay this much rent anyway.
Yeah.
Might as well buy this one.
Yeah, so it made sense at that time.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of fond memories of that time. But I will always remember that old apartment. For some reason, that was our first home. It felt like our
It felt like
first
our
It was a
home.
really
home.
great place.
It
It was the first time I saw my dad smile and mom. I saw our parents smile. Before that, I can say that in India, I had never seen them smile. There was always a sense
Stress.
of
Sense of stress.
like something needs to be done, something's not happening, something or other. And then of course the coming to America, you know, you're living in someone else's house. This was finally, you're independent with your family, with your kids, and I saw my dad smile. I was like, and I didn't know my dad could smile. I'd never seen that smile before, and it was beautiful.
I just remembered another thing which was so goofy that I did. So I was going to high school at that time, right? So I didn't know that. Okay, so remember I used to be in an all-girls school in
Before.
India,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So here there's all these boys in the school. So this one boy, I still remember his name. I think it was Peter or Patrick, I think. So he was smaller than me, and we became friends. So
He's like, oh, I got a girlfriend.
I know, and I did not know what he was thinking. I wasn't from, again, the cultural difference.
Your
I'm
first
like,
boyfriend.
I'm like, this is just my friend, right? So I would tell him about Hindi movies. Like we have video cassettes, right? VHS. I'm like, yeah, there's this one, at that time, I think it was still
I think I know where this is going because
Yeah.
I remember. Yeah.
So anyway, I'm like, yeah, we have. He goes, do you have the cassettes at your house? I'm like, yeah. You want to come and watch movie?
You thought you were just doing cultural sharing.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, I'll
date.
So he's like, okay.
Want to catch dinner before?
So he's like, okay. But he never came. It was just a conversation. But I think he did come one time, and I think we did watch a movie.
I think he did come. I remember that. That's
and
why
then
I'm laughing, 'cause I remember-
after that, then I thought, okay, this is kind of awkward, but okay, because I realized it was sort of awkward. And then after that, one day he just shows up at the door with some video cassettes in his hands of Superman and all these movies, right, that he was watching. And so he's like, I have some movies. Do you want to watch movies? And I'm like, I said, and I remember, I think at that time I said, oh, I can't. Because I'm like, I never meant it to be like a routine
This
where you
wasn't
just
supposed to
keep
be.
coming. You wanted to see a movie, and I said, sure, I can show it to you. But this is not my mind was always very logical.
You always had visitors coming over.
Yeah,
Some
this is
random-
not my. This is
not a suitor.
Yeah, you can't come here. I didn't say that to him. I just said, "Oh, my parents said no more movies or something." You always blame your parents. So anyway, after that, he never came. He wasn't a bad person. He was coming from a different culture. Like, hey, you're inviting me over, so now I'm gonna start coming over. And I'm like, no, I just invited you for a specific purpose. I was gonna show you a movie, and now that's it. That purpose is done. Now, no more, right?
As a kid, I couldn't get over how large people were in the United States.
Yeah, they were
That
very
was
large.
my main observation
Yeah.
as a kid, going to school. And I remember there was a parent-teacher night, and all the parents are there. And we're sitting in the back, Mom and I, and we're looking out, and I'm like, there's a sea of people sitting in the chair. Everyone's spilling over the chairs. So that was very interesting that everyone was just physically a little bit
Larger.
different than what we were used to. And
Yes.
that was normal because everybody was like that. And I kind of look back and I said, well, were people really that large, or was it just my
Because you
my
were
perception?
small. You were just tiny.
I was tiny, and then also coming from India, where at that time people were tiny too. You know, they were not watching as much TV.
Well, there was one time when it was like probably our first or second day, like after moving into that apartment, we started school. And Kavita was told, and our brother Aman, that they were supposed to take the bus back. Okay. And, we were expecting them home by a certain time. And my school used to end before everyone else's. So that was my little happy hour before everyone else come. And anyways, you got home. You used to get home around 3. I used to get home at 1:45. I remember all of that. And you're home. I'm like,
Where is Kavita and Aman?
Aman came. And I'm like, where is Kavita? And he's like, I looked everywhere. I couldn't find her. And I'm like, oh, great. We've lost our youngest
First day
sibling.
of school.
Like, she's like, what are we supposed to do? So all of us went looking. So we were tracking backwards and we're looking. And
Let me add to your story from my perspective. School got out. I was told to meet my brother at a certain point, and I think we were supposed to take the bus together.
Yeah.
I got there. He didn't show up.
Okay.
So I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do, and I'm just standing around, and then all the buses and everybody's leaving. So I'm like, okay, well, I know the direction of the home is, going east or whatever. And I'm like, I'm just going to start walking in that direction, right? And eventually I'll figure it out. So I just, I'm like, what, seven
like in
years
second
old?
grade. Yeah.
And I just started walking in that direction and kept walking. I know I'm supposed to make a left turn somewhere. I just don't know where.
I remember when we ran into you.
Yeah,
So
we
it
remember
was on
that.
D Street. So it was on that straight street
Yeah.
where you were walking. So we ran into you right about the time when you were walking straight. Had we not run into you, we would have missed you.
Yeah.
And you would have been walking straight to nowhere.
It was such a strategic moment because
Where
I
we-
was going to just keep walking.
And
trying
I
to
think
look
we
for
were
that
so
word,
excited.
the
Like,
left turn.
we see her.
Because
Oh
I
my
remember
gosh.
her with her little backpack.
With the and a
just
jacket.
walking like this, like with a lot of like nobody could have guessed that you were lost or
Yeah.
didn't know where you were going. At least you had that confidence.
Probably came from playing so much outside all
Fake
the
it till you
time.
make it already as a 7-year-old.
Yeah.
But yeah, we would have. So that was a moment. And then of course we got super mad at her. Like, what the heck are you
No,
doing?
you didn't get. I mean, I was happy to see you guys. That was like such a that one
We
moment
like,
when you're like, thank
Why
God they're
didn't
there.
you
So
stay?
happy.
We were like, why didn't you stay in school? And it was like,
But
I
a
didn't
kid
know.
is going to be,
Like, I
they
didn't
don't know. They're
Yeah.
just going to be like, I need to get home.
I did the best I could under the circumstances. In my defense,
you were supposed to turn left from the Korean church.
Yeah.
Okay?
The
That was
Korean
the-
church was our
that-
milestone.
That was our indicator. Yes, that's
turn
what I
left
remember.
and then right from the Korean liquor store. That's what
And speaking of like people, people were so friendly with each other and very welcoming that, in that tough neighborhood, we ran into a Desi family. Just, I think parents were out on a walk or something.
Yeah.
Ran into a Desi family and they became like lifelong, family
like our
friends.
family friends.
Yeah,
And
they're
they were
just
such nice people.
Yeah, they were Gujarati.
Yeah.
They were Gujarati Christians.
Yeah.
Lovely, lovely family. And we used to be there. Auntie cooked so well.
It
Her
was
food.
so
So
good.
we would be there all the
Her
time.
enchiladas, I still remember. They
Her
were
pizza,
super.
Desi pizza.
Pizza and enchiladas. And she just had a way with cooking.
Yeah.
She was really,
Yeah.
and she was so welcoming. Yeah.
She was very sweet. Yeah. Nice people. And they were also like, I think they were recent immigrants. They were working at a motel, right? Managing a motel and stuff. And they were constantly like working 24 hours a day. Very, very nice people.
Yeah.
There were so many other, the times. What about all the gurdwaras? Like there were maybe like 1 or 2 gurdwaras. I remember we used to drive like 40 minutes to get to the gurdwara.
More than 40 minutes.
More than.
Because it was Alhambra, from
Yeah.
Ontario to Alhambra, Gurdwara. And we used to, because dad was a new driver, he didn't know how to drive the freeways yet. We had an old car. So we would all pack into that one little car, hatchback, and take side street, it was Arrow, all the way from Ontario to Alhambra. It would take us a good hour and 20 minutes,
Something
30
like
minutes.
that. Yeah.
Slow and steady.
No
Get to
AC.
the, no AC. Yep.
Did we sing
music.
songs along the way?
We did
like I feel like we
everything.
entertained ourselves.
We entertained.
right?
Yeah.
But we were on top of each other first.
I
of
think
all.
I think we were just having fun, like we're out
Right.
and we're going somewhere, That's I remember, okay, talking about double lives, like how our perspectives are so different. Remember, when I started my undergrad, we had only been here for 2 years. So I'm in my English class and they're reading some sort of, I guess we were reading some sort of literature, and it must have had some like inappropriate vocabulary. And my professor turns to me and she's like, Harpreet, in your language, there must be, comparable words that are like this. And I said, no. I said, we don't have any of these kinds of words, like 4-letter words. We don't have them. And I remember the student sitting, it was still like, I still remember the setup of the class. It was like a U shape and the professor sitting here. And I remember all the students probably were trying to be very kind and nice and not like just say like, that's not true. They were all sitting very patiently. And the professor's like, every language has that kind of vocabulary. So are you sure yours doesn't? I'm like, we don't.
We are perfect.
we don't have that kind of vocabulary.
To be fair.
But she said, she said, okay, let me ask you this. Does your dad say any of those words? I'm like, no.
Actually, Dad never did.
No.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I'm like, no. And she goes, anybody else speaks like that in your house? I'm like, no. And she's like, that's why you just don't know them. They do exist. I don't speak your language, but I can guarantee you they do exist. I'm like, okay, I just don't know them. But that was interesting. Like we grew up with a certain, in such a sheltered way that all of a sudden we're sent to, it wasn't just our parents came to the big wide world, right? We were all of a sudden sent off to this big wide world, and it's like, oh, there's other things I didn't know. So there was a lot of that inquiry and exploration that was
even
new to us.
happened. That even happened later later in life for me, because when I went to college, I had no idea some of these words existed until
I didn't know.
I met other Punjabi people and they're like, they're using these words which I still won't use.
I still won't use them.
And I'm like, that's what it means? That exists in our language? What? We were not exposed to those things. So even later in life, I was still college, I guess you're still discovering the big wide world.
I think it's interesting because we were doing, as kids, are growing up, because everybody grows up, right? Everyone goes through the journey of being a 10-year-old to 20-year-old. You're discovering the world, right? But we were kind of doing double duty. We were discovering the world as you do from being a child to an adult, but we were also at the same time discovering the world that was like Desi to American, or Eastern to Western. So we were doing, a lot was happening. No wonder it's a fascinating time for us, and we kind of think of it very fondly. I'm happy that we think of it fondly, even though it had struggles. But I think I'm fascinated. I almost want to do I wish I could go back and interview us and be like, what was going on in your mind? What is going on in your little mind right now?
Yeah.
We're just so innocent too.
We were so innocent.
Even some of the words we thought were for sure pronounced this way. Like, I still remember the word pneumonia. Because it was a linguistics class. And we were trying to break words into phonetically, right? Phonics. And so the professor said pneumonia, what are the phonemic sounds of it? Because, it's not spelled as it sounds, right? Because there's a P in there and all that. And I said, no, there's an extra sound there.
And she's like, you were arguing with the professor?
Adamant.
Because I said, because they were like pneumonia, right? And I'm like, no, it's pneumonia.
Did you hear that from our grandmother? Pneumonia.
So I thought that's how the word is. I'm like, no, it's Nemu.
You guys are mispronouncing it.
And then she wrote it on the board. She's like, okay, this is how it's spelled. But I said, yeah, but the pronunciation, you're missing some sounds in there.
At least you had confidence. Forget about anything.
Yeah. So the professor, I think she just kind of gave up on me. She's like, okay, I see. You're putting accent on different syllables, etc. Right? But I was like, no, you guys are all wrong.
Well, speaking of which, like, even there are some words that exist,
Yeah.
which I just recently realized I've been mispronouncing it this whole time.
Yeah.
Because the only time I've heard that word is by Desi people.
Right.
Okay.
So-
like, for example,
Diaspora.
diaspora.
Like, I was talking to somebody and I'm like, oh, the diaspora. And they're like, what? It's a diaspora. And they're like, no, it's not. You're mispronouncing it. And so it took me like, I was like, oh, like I went on YouTube and I did the pronunciation thing. I was like, hell, I've been mispronouncing this word.
Well, even the word like kilo, we say kilo, right? And the other day, just last year, I said like 3 kilos. And somebody said, what? And I said, kilos. And they're like, you mean kilos? And I'm like, whatever. Kilo, to me, that's a kilo. That will always be a kilo. I don't care how you
Yes.
say it. It's going to be a kilo.
Because that's where it's actually used. They're calling it kilo. So we're
Yeah,
gonna just
where
call
where
it
they
kilo.
actually use
it?
kilos
Yeah,
is a kilo,
kilo.
so I'm gonna say kilo. Yeah. So it's just, but even the code switching that we do, like we've learned to say when we're speaking in English, we will say, I need to go to the bathroom, for example, right? But when we speak in Punjabi, all of a sudden, the same person, me, who's saying I need to go to the bathroom, I'm gonna say in Punjabi, I'm gonna say I need to go to the bathroom. Main bathroom jana.
My bathroom.
We switch
Bathroom
it.
jana.
So we code switch. Even the English word switches with
To
the language.
Punjabi, huh.
Like I'm gonna learn how to dance. मैं dance कर दी भी, right? We code
Do
switch.
you want pizza or pizza? Pizza khana hai. Well, let me share a story along those lines actually, because I think when you're like multilingual, and I say multilingual because Hindi, Punjabi, English, whatever, right? You're always like sort of negotiating and figuring out what's the best word to describe this situation, right? Like which word do I want to use? And sometimes all the words come at you at the same time, and the word that you really want, you can't remember.
Yeah.
And I was telling somebody a story. I was telling somebody a story about someone who's not very mobile, but this particular day they're feeling very, very strong. And they ended up walking out of the house all the way to past the front yard, all the way to I couldn't remember the word. And the damn word that popped into my head was footpath. I have never used the word footpath in my life, okay?
But it
why
lives in
footpath,
your head.
not footpath, footpath. And I'm like I tried it so many times and I was like, dang it, I can't remember. So I turned to the guy and said, I don't know, but for some reason, the only word popping into my head right now is footpath. No, I did not say footpath to him, but footpath. And he started laughing because he's like, yeah, I get it. He was like South American background. And he's like, I get that. Okay. So he's like, sidewalk? Yeah, sidewalk.
It's like what they
Footpath.
call it now is translanguaging. So you take word from one language and then it becomes a reference when you're talking in another language. So translanguaging happening. Yeah, that's fascinating to me. I heard a comedian say, American English, which is different than English, like footpath versus sidewalk. He's funny because he goes, Americans have to say it exactly what it is. Like it's side, it's on the side, and it's where you walk, sidewalk. So like waste, basket. It's a basket.
Like instead of
Trash, can. It's a can. It's no longer a basket now. It's a can. And you're throwing trash, not just waste, but trash, So he was making fun. He goes, like, in England, they would just say, like, rubbish bin or something. But we are very literal. It's a trash can. This is a walkway that's on the side. So I'm going to call it sidewalk. Yeah. So like spectacles are actually glasses because there's two pairs of glass that you look through. So, or no, we actually call it eyeglasses as if like, are we going to wear it anywhere else? Like
Well, you could have glass for some other, like drinking glass versus
so these are eyeglasses.
But you know that's also the having all these multiple word choices is also the beauty of it. Because sometimes you're like, I'm so upset. I'm gonna use this one Punjabi word to, that best describes it.
Yeah.
And I remember I have wonderful clients, but I had these clients from hell. Okay. And I didn't know how bad they were until we're in the middle of the deal. And so I went to my assistant who's Indian, and I said, the best way, I only know this one word to best describe them. And I said, they're balloongadia. Like, they're like, she's like, what?
the heck is that?
Well, she's not Punjabi. She's like, what? I'm like, they're like balloongadia. Like, they're little tiny little kittens trying to be like, big lions. And that's what they are. So every time, I started referring to them as balloongadia.
I love that word, balloongade.
Yeah,
I
I
should
do
use
too.
that word. That is
Right?
such a cute word. I wouldn't use that for...
Even Pakistani drama, the old Pakistani drama, back in like the
Oh,
1980s, they're like,
balloongadia.
"Oi, balloongadia."
I remember
Right? It was the best. Those old vadere, I think they used to call. Every time they were upset with somebody, balloongadia.
I like those words. We need to keep those words. We need to find a way to preserve those
Right.
words. Yeah.
I try to remember those. Like every now and then, I try to remember like what's a word we're not commonly using anymore. Like
There's a
ghusl
lot.
khana.
But even like ghusl but there's also like, even like loon versus namak or khand versus chini. Like our words are loon and khand.
But
It's-
and
it's
people
not
think when
namak
they're
and
getting-
chini,
Yeah.
you know?
Or bua versus darwaza. Right? Bua is the actual Punjabi word. Darwaza is a
Like a
Persian
body
sort of,
is window, not khidki is Hindi.
Khidki is Hindi.
But sometimes even those words, like sometimes I'm like, oh, मैं बहुत संजीदा महसूस कर रही हूँ. Like
बहुत
sometimes
ज़्यादा
in my head,
Pakistani
I'm
drama
also
देख-
like, influenced. But there's the influences of things that you grow up with and that you adapt to, and then there's these other influences just from watching TV and getting all of those other exposures.
And maybe that word expresses your feelings at that time. Sanjeeda expresses it versus मैं bore हो रही हूँ. Like we fall to this English word bore for like a generic term for everything that we're feeling. But Sanjeeda is a very particular kind of feeling versus just being serious or bored.
I don't know if Sanjeeda's bored or serious.
It's like
serious.
serious. Yeah.
Serious.
But
But
Sanjeeda
Yeah, I'm feeling very serious.
I feel very
Serious, like...
I feel very special when I use those words, though. There's something that
see,
comes
that's
with
the
it.
thing.
Yeah.
That's the...
What feeling am I going for?
Well, even like in English, they say language has a lot to do with how we act or how we think. Language choices really shape how we think. For example, I heard a TED talk which said, some languages where people are very like empowered and, some cultures, strength, it has to do with language also. Like in English, we'll say, my arm broke, right? Or I broke my arm. Well, nobody does that. You don't break your own arm. So if you go to in Punjabi, you wouldn't say you don't say मैं अपनी बांह तोड़ी है.
Oh. Oh, yeah. Okay.
You don't say I broke my arm. You say my arm broke, right? So it has the language shapes how we actually experience things, So it's I broke my arm. That makes no sense.
Is that holding you accountable for what happened to you?
I don't know. But it was just an interesting observation how different languages function differently.
Funny thing. So we're so used to having like a secret language, right? That when we go out into public, that we're like,
Love
we
it.
can have these little side conversations that nobody can understand. And it's not that we're disparaging other people. It's just some kind of whatever observation that we want to have. And I went to Canada and I'm in Toronto and I'm walking around and I have my observations and I turn to my my fiance at the time, but I turned to my now husband and I'm like, hey, right? And I'm ready to start having that conversation, but I'm surrounded by Desi people. So I can't have that secret conversation. I felt so like just
Powerless.
ripped off. Like I was just like, this is so frustrating. I want to have a conversation, my secret conversation. It's great being multilingual.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it helps us. Firstly, I think it does help your mind. I would love to know if there's any study or anything done on people who are multilingual
Lots
to
of
see
studies,
how, our brains kind of, function versus people who are just thinking in one language. We can't even imagine that anymore, how it feels. But that extra little something, like little power that we have because we have a secret language.
Well, like
a
when
little
you're going to go
code.
buy a car, you're like, speak to me in Punjabi,
I'm
you know?
like, नहीं नहीं अब बंदे दी गल ना सुन तू नहीं इन्हें कुछ नहीं पता नहीं इंटरेस्ट रेट बहुत ज़्यादा है नहीं ਆਪਾਂ ਬੈਂਕ ਕੋਲ ਜਾਣਾ ਹੈ ਉੱਥੋਂ ਪਤਾ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਪੁੱਛ ਲੈਣੇ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਣਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਅਜੇ ਓਕੇ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਣਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਬੈਂਕ ਕੋਲ ਜਾਣਾ ਹੈ
ਇਹਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਣਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੀ ਸੋਚ ਰਹੇ
ਅਸੀਂ ਕੀ ਸੋਚ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਇੰਟਰਸਟ ਨਾ ਦਿਖਾ
जब मैं बोलूंगी तू चुपचाप बैठी फिर जब तू बोलेगा फिर मैं चुप करके बैठांगी
Yeah, but expression has to not show that.
Yes.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Your expression's supposed to be something completely different.
Bansha says that, mom, you really mess it up because instead ki, ਜਿਹੜੇ important words ਹੁੰਦੇ ਨਾ ਜੋ ਅਸੀਂ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਬੋਲਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ English words ਵਿੱਚ ਬੋਲਦੇ ਹਾਂ right ਜਿਵੇਂ ਕਹਾਂ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਬੰਦਾ ਜਰਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਸੰਦ ਇਹ ਬੰਦਾ ਬਹੁਤ crazy ਹੈ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ then ਮੈਂ ਆਪਣਾ given it
Yeah.
she's like the
crazy.
important words you put English in there and you mess it up
Exactly.
so you have to but yeah there is
You know, it's
power in
fun.
that.
Like when we had the store, there were so many different types of desis that came with different backgrounds. And, you had Afghans, you had sometimes people in southern parts of India, some Gujarati. Some of them, they did not speak Hindi, they did not speak English. So how do you communicate with them? So I would be like, trying to simplify whatever I'm trying to say so that they can understand. And it was like, take out all the frilly words. And we still do that in real estate too, that I actually teach my agents. Like when you're trying to communicate with somebody who doesn't speak a lot of English, they will understand key words. So just take out all the frilly stuff. Like, I don't think we can. And this no, this yes. You got to like take out all the words and just get
Be
to
direct,
the point
yeah.
and they will understand. And they do,
Take out the clutter.
Yeah. So I remember a friend of mine was watching me do this at the store. And she's like, it's like you have a sign language of your own. You're communicating with people. And you can. If you act it out, you take out some of the frilly words, you get to the point, and you're able to communicate with
Well,
people.
think
in
about it
different
when I get brand new students from like China or Vietnam, which I've had, right? They don't know a word of English when they come to your class. Like they just landed like 2 days ago. Like the minute they're over jet lag, they're in your class. Right? How now they're already in 4th, 5th grade. You've got to teach them, right? But it's amazing, like the tools when you have to. You know how they say like necessity is a mother of invention. You invent things to communicate. And I had one girl student last year, and now she's speaking in English. By the end of the school year, she started speaking sentences, but you figure out how to communicate with each other. You draw pictures, you gesture, do whatever you have to. Yeah.
What I also find fascinating is a lot of Desis that come to the United States learn Spanish. They adapt to Spanish faster than English sometimes.
Oh yeah, I remember because I had to when we came. I was in high school, so right away the part that I didn't have is the foreign language component that you need to graduate. So right away they put me in Spanish, right? Spanish classes. I was like, oh, this is just like Punjabi, right? Because look, they're counting like uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis. Dos is do. And I'm like, that's just like Punjabi. And so it made so much sense to me. And pronunciation wise, it wasn't a big shift. And I was getting better grades in Spanish than the Spanish speakers in the classroom. And I had never heard Spanish before. But I was like, wow, here's another language that just like that has so many words similar to Punjabi.
And I think the pronunciation aspect of it has a lot to do with it, where people feel like no one's going to make fun of me.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to be able to say it with, the perfect Americanized English that you're supposed to speak it
Right.
with. So, yeah, it's very fascinating to me. I've seen it so many multiple times of people adapting to Spanish so much faster than English.
Right.
Yeah, when we were speaking of Spanish, when we were traveling to Spain, my daughter and I, and of course, she spoke some Spanish, very kind of elementary Spanish, and then I speak zero Spanish, and so we're in Spain, and guess what? There were plenty of Punjabi Pakistanis in Barcelona, in Madrid, everywhere, but Barcelona in particular, for some reason, lots of Punjabi speaking Pakistani people, and they spoke fluent Spanish. They didn't speak English, not in a fluent way. So we're like, it's fine. We can get by speaking Punjabi. So this is the first time where we benefiting while traveling, because we speak Punjabi, we are able to get by. And so I remember going to a grocery store, just a regular grocery store, and just being like, oh, "Ah chaida, oh chaida," and they completely understood me. But they were speaking fluent Spanish.
Yeah. Because I went to Gurdwara in Spain, right? And I went inside and it was langar. And it was a small Gurdwara, right? It was langar time, and a family came, sat across from me, like a husband, wife, and they had a little boy. And she's like, siéntese, right? And then they would turn to each other and they would speak Punjabi. But to the kid, they would speak Spanish. So it was the same phenomena. Like here, how some parents, they're talking to each other in their mother tongue, but then they turn around and with kids, they're speaking in English. It was the same thing happening with Spanish there. And I was like, wow, that's fascinating, because it's the same thing happening there as well. But that's another thing as a like the duality of or the double role that we live, double lives. The first thing I do when I'm traveling, is I look for where is the nearest Gurdwara. Doesn't matter where I am. I could be in Spain, France, Germany, wherever. I'm going to say, where is the nearest Gurdwara? Once I spot it, it's here. For some reason, I feel better.
It feels better to know that if there's any situation,
If there's a situation, I know where to go, because that becomes my 911 emergency center, So that's what we did. When we were traveling, we would just see where the nearest Gurdwara is. We needed to make sure where that was, so that our kids knew where that is. Like, this is your emergency spot right there. So
any pretend or what is it called?
legit.
I actually have a question for you. There's something that everybody always kind of word that everybody throws around, but do we know what it entails? So in America, everyone calls Desi people South Asian, right? So what does that entail? In your opinion, what countries of South Asia are they including when they say South Asian?
Okay, so I would say it would be India, of course.
Of course. Okay.
I would include Sri Lanka in it.
Okay.
Bangladesh, Nepal, Pakistan, of course. Okay,
Bhutan, maybe.
Maybe even, I don't know if I would include Bhutan to be
Well, where else would it be?
I don't know. I don't consider them Desi per se, but I would consider Nepal Desi.
Yeah.
India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka. To me, those countries are Desi.
Yeah. And when you go to Philippines and stuff, that becomes Southeast Asia. So there's South Asia and there's Southeast Asia.
Are we missing any country?
I mean, when I was reading up on it, I was kind of surprised about these countries, and I was like, Bhutan was one of them. By the way,
Burma. Burma also.
Burma.
They did not include Burma, but in my opinion,
I
kind
think,
of.
yeah.
I feel like that works. Maldives.
because it's an island nearby. Yeah,
Maldives.
it's an
So
island.
Maldives,
I
and
would
then
not include Maldives.
so in one list I saw Afghanistan, and one list I didn't. I kind of think like they are kind of Desi also, but then they're also kind of Persian. So
I would
I don't
not
know.
include Afghanistan. They're definitely, I would include them in the Middle East. If you're in the Middle East, then you can't be in South.
Well, it's
I
kind of
don't-
like
it's
that's
like they're right at the borderline. I
Yeah.
feel like it could be like I'll let them decide. You know, hey,
it's kind of like
open to
Turkey. You
them
know,
to-
Turkey says, some say Middle East, some say Turkey says no, we could be part of Europe. Like,
Because half of
yeah.
the country is.
But I think they just kind of go with. I think they roll with Persian over like Middle East.
Because I think mostly also Europe doesn't consider them as part of Europe,
Even though they are in Europe.
even though they are
Who are we
yeah,
talking about?
Turkey.
Turkey.
Is a portion of it in Asia and portion
There
of it
is
in Europe?
Istanbul. Do you remember when we were in Istanbul? Like half of the Istanbul is in Asia and half of it is in Europe. So
We went to the
country itself-
Europe one, right?
We were
on
mostly on the
side.
European
Okay.
side, but there is a side that's the Asia side, and I forgot the little river. That there was a bridge. If you're on the other side of the bridge,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, that's interesting. So if that's South Asia, right? Is that equals to Desi? When
Yeah.
when we say Desi, what
Yes.
Desi hai?
That
In
is
my opinion, yeah. Like Nepali, I would say Desi. Somebody from Pakistan, Bangladesh,
Desi.
definitely
For
Desi.
sure
Sri
Desi.
Lanka, I would still say Desi.
Desi.
You know. So I think like as long as it's that same sort of
I feel like there's Desi.
similar genetic makeup.
I feel like there's Desi, and then there's Desi, like
soft.
Desi soft or Desi, I don't know, adjacent, if you will. To me, Desi, when I say Desi, I mean India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. To me, that's really Desi. But like when it comes to Sri Lanka or Nepal, I feel like they are still a little different. Like I would be fascinated by them. I'm not dissing them. I would be like, oh, how do you do this? I would not act like I know that.
I wonder if because Pakistan, India, Bangladesh used
Were
to be
the
one
same country.
connected
Yeah.
country.
In what was British India. Yeah, because Sri Lanka was not part of that. Is my understanding. That used to be called Colombo, but that was not part. Like Sri Lanka wouldn't be like, oh, our independence is August 14th or 15th. They had their own thing going.
Oh, isn't Colombo is that their capital? I'm just trying to remember here.
Ceylon.
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 No,
Colombo was.
Ceylon is not there anymore.
I don't know.
I don't know. I guess we
confused
need
about
to
that.
read
we
up
don't
our-
even know enough.
We
Yeah.
have to read up on our Sri Lankan.
But what's nice is
history.
because now, you know how they used to say AAP, like Asian American Pacific Islanders, AAPI community. But now they've added, it's APIDA, which is Asian American Pacific Islander Desi Americans.
Really? They are actually use the word Desi as like
in
an
most
official,
of the
in an official
in most
sense.
in the like the county curriculum, etc. Desi is now an official word for us.
But you know what's fascinating? So when I was in college, the reference of the habit of referring to another Indian person or Pakistani or referring to them as Desi was just starting out. It was just catching on. I used to get so annoyed. I'm like, Desi? You mean Pradesi? Like not Desi. Desi is like someone who's living in India. That's Desi, right? Because you're domestic.
Yeah.
You're foreign, you're not
not
Desi,
Desi.
you're Pradesi. So I used to get so annoyed. Now it's like part of our
It makes sense
vocabulary.
because
I don't think too far
We're
deep
from the
into it.
Desh.
Yeah, Desh.
What is Desh? That's India, I guess. What used to be India, or subcontinent, right? If you're from the subcontinent, then you're from the Desh, and
Yeah.
that's so we're Desi.
Were they? Remember that Manoj Kumar song? What was it? The Buddha Bor Paschim, and then he talks
Breathe.
about. Was there a song called Desi or something? Desi.
Preet.
Oh yeah. Okay. No, I thought there was a song in it about Desi or
Desi girl.
Desi girl, Desi
Is that what you think? That's the only song that I can think of that has the word Desi in it.
There's a stupid song I just heard.
Okay.
So in our previous episode, we were talking about music, And then I was like, okay, I want to go through some old songs too, and things that I remember and I used to love and I've enjoyed and I've forgotten. So Rajiv Rai movies used to have really good songs, and there is this song that came up.
I don't know.
Tridev,
Oh, Tridev,
Vishwatma,
Vishwatma.
Sat
Yeah,
Samundar
yeah,
Par.
How do you
right?
know? But
Okay.
who is? I don't know
Too
who
much.
He is.
I don't know. So too much space in my brain, I suppose. And then there's this song that came up in one of those movies. I'd forgotten all about it. Something about da na 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 teri bindiya yaad aa gaya mujhko India.
Oh, teri bindiya yaad aa gaya. I remember.
I was like, I can't believe somebody actually made this song.
Yeah.
So it's hilarious. But there used to be a lot of those types of songs, right? Like Chitti Aayi Hai.
Oh, that song made me
Right.
cry.
I think that was before like email and FaceTime and all that. Because now
But
you
it's
can
true.
like
Speaking
Yeah.
of Chittiya, like when we first moved here, to call India was like you pretty
Expensive.
much giving
Could not.
10% of your monthly salary for that phone call, because it would cost like hundreds of dollars. And so letters were so important. I mean, the letters came from India. Like we still have like in our parents like storage, like all these letters, because you kept them. You never
You
would
don't
think
get-
of tossing one of those letters out.
Because it took like 3 weeks to, receive the letter.
And then, do you remember? Okay, so we used to live in. Speaking of Ontario, that old apartment, Ontario, California, right? Ontario, CA, and somebody didn't put USA at the bottom.
Yeah.
The letter took a scenic route through Ontario, Canada.
It was Kulwant Masiji.
Yeah.
Her letter went to Canada, Ontario, Canada.
and
And then it
traveled
came to
back.
Ontario,
Well, did it
California.
take-
We
like 6
got
months?
it like 3 months later. I think it was just like because it probably sat somewhere to be assessed, and like
Somebody figured out, oh, there's another city called Ontario.
but CA.
And I wonder if that happens more than once. Maybe they just knew, like, oh, this is another Ontario.
Because they didn't put USA.
Yeah.
So, of course, it would be Ontario.
But Ontario was still a small city at that time, so not a
It's
lot of
still-
people
I mean,
knew. I mean, it's on the map. I mean, with the airport and all of that, it's on the map.
True.
Well, Rancho Cucamonga was really small compared to that. Rancho Cucamonga was all like vineyards, grape vineyards, and just a small town. And there was nothing after Chaffey College going up. It was like there was no development, and so. But now it's completely developed.
Yeah.
We've seen so much change over time, just living in one place. We've become natives. We're not like, you're not that fresh immigrant family anymore. You are.
There's part of me
You
that's
know
still
the streets. You know what they
I
look
think
like
that
before
that
the big
feeling will
buildings
always
came in.
I think that feeling will always stay there. You're always gonna feel like, oh, I didn't know. Like that adventure, that newness, it will always be there. Like that sense doesn't go away.
Yeah. I mean, the adventures we had on our journey here and, developed like over the next few years, I think that's fascinating. I think that life experience, I'm very thankful for that life experience. I'm like, I could not have asked for a better, like if you write a story and you say, okay, put some adventures in there for the kids, we could not have asked for better adventures. Just coming from like how our life was, just being in this like little shell, if you will, like one city. I think I went to Delhi once, like
Like
that's
very in the box.
yeah, in the
And we
box,
didn't
in
go
the-
play with too many people outside the house, too.
Yeah,
Our life
we
was
were
very much, yeah.
And then to be taken from there, not to, even if we had moved to Delhi, that would have been a big adventure. But to be taken from like a medium-sized city, but living sort of a very contained life, to be taken to America and via Tokyo. I think that whole shock,
That
of
whole
like those
journey,
lights,
yeah.
the lights of Tokyo, like what the heck?
That
Like,
that whole trip was just
fascinating.
amazing adventure.
It was completely amazing, and the air hostesses, how cute they were. How
You know
sweet.
what my first American food was actually? It was in India itself. When we were sitting in the American embassy,
Ooh,
the cheese sandwich,
it was just a Wonder Bread, like just
Wonder
really
bread
small.
with the cheese squished in it.
It
And
was
they took
butter and cheese.
the crust part out. They cut it out. So it was just the soft
It
bread.
was for like kids. I think it was just like a kid
sandwich.
Yeah.
Amazing. Like I was sitting, I enjoyed that sandwich so much. And I think
we were hungry too.
We were hungry and we were kids. So that just hit the spot with a little can of Coke.
Is that what it was? I remember we drank something.
It was Coke.
Oh, it was a can. That was the first
That
can.
was the first can.
'Cause in India, they
you drink out of bottle.
So when you're in the embassy, and this is when we went for our interview.
Yeah.
When you're in American embassy, you're pretty much in America. So all the food, like it was a cart.
Everything was like American.
Like America, yeah.
And I remember I looked at the can like, I don't know how do we open it? So, somebody showed like, this is how you open it. I'm like, that's fascinating because we were, Coke came in the glass bottles, not the can. Yeah. So the cheese sandwich with Coke, it will always be, every time I eat that combination, that's like me being in an American embassy as a 14-year-old.
I remember that bread being so good.
It
was so soft and fluffy.
Yeah.
And I've been still looking for bread like that. Like
right?
since then, yes.
Even in America, I haven't found bread like that. That was a high
butter.
quality.
I think it was just butter and like that American cheese, kind of like Kraft cheese, and nothing else. It wasn't toasted or anything, and just another piece of bread on it with.
It was a triangle cut.
Yeah, triangle cut and no crust.
No.
And then I think it was just like cut like in a and we probably got half a sandwich each or something. And it was just the most fabulous thing ever. And we're like, wait a minute, is that what American food is like? Is that where we're going?
Except when we came here, I tasted peanut butter for the first time, and I thought it was the grossest thing I've ever
It tasted like chalk.
had.
I remember that too.
Some things we're just not gonna like adapt to.
The taste needed to be acquired. So now I'm fine with peanut butter, but that time I was
original, like the first bite, because maybe you're expecting it to be something sweet or salty, and it just tastes so bland. And I remember that too. It's like, oh, what is this?
Yeah.
So that was fun.
Yeah.
Walk down memory lane.
Yeah.
Which I think a lot of people can probably share in these experiences, probably had similar experiences.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good to write them down. I would compel everyone. We should do the same thing too, because our next generations aren't going to remember any of this. These are our own personal lived experiences. So I think what we should do is just each of us just write down about that journey, because I think that journey was really important.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're going to call this episode Coming to America.